I was waiting for the intro music.
My theme song didn't play. What the hell?
We're off to an incredible start.
Well, hold on. I'm just gonna play it myself.
Sing it. Just sing it out loud. I don't hear it. I don't know if you hear it.
What? You should hear it.
Nope.
Yeah, well. Oh, wait. I got you.
You could be a Bradley's baddie too. You could be a Bradley's baddie too.
There we go.
So join Jovan and get your critical cap on. There's a Bradley's baddie inside of me and you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. How you doing? How you living? How you cool? How you killing? We are live here on Monday at 10 a.m. I started exactly at 10, which is unheard of. Welcome into stream, everybody. I am here with Forrest. Everybody say hello to Forrest. Chat. Be kind.
Hi.
Be on your best behavior to the sub.
Don't embarrass me.
We are here to debate Christians and conservatives. We are here to make them look as silly as possible. You can call in to debate us at 219-238-6566. That number again, 219-238-6566. The call-in line is currently closed. You'll notice when I open it because it'll say call-in line open on the screen. So, right, it's closed right now. If I see anyone try to call in, that means you can't follow directions. So I'm not going to want to take your call anyway. Forrest, how are you doing today on this wonderful Monday? While I open a cracker.
I've never had a bad day, my friend. And today won't be the first.
What the hell?
I thought I was the only cracker on this show.
Okay, crazy. So one of these crackers is broke, but the other half is not in the package.
Thank you.
That means they just
They're
packaged
robbing you
half a
blind.
cracker. Fucking what? Anyway, before we begin, there is some things that we need to go over. First of all, how is the audio, everybody? Does it sound good between me and Forrest? Hopefully it does. I hope the audio sounds good. Chat, you'll let me know if it doesn't. Second of all, head over to the merch store right now, JovanBradley.com. I decided because everybody was talking about, hey, we like those kind of sad shirts, that I made them. So we have he, him / kind of sad, she, her / kind of sad, and they, them / kind of sad. So if you want to grab a kind of sad shirt because you're like, oh, I love when we run jokes into the ground. Well, here's a joke that I'm going to run into the ground. You can head to the merch store. If we do get our, if we do reach our goals today, remember YouTube has a giveaway goal and Twitch has a giveaway goal. Maybe we give away a kind of sad shirt. Who knows? If you want to win the shirt on YouTube, it's super chat. Send a super chat our way. We'll also show it on screen and read it. If you want to win the shirts on Twitch, it's about Cash App and Venmo. Once we hit the goal, then we give away the goodie goods. We give away the goodie goods.
I see your Twitch chat is already roasting you specifically, saying that I'm not going to be able to hear the caller. Is that going to be?
He'll be able to hear the caller.
Is that going to be an issue?
No. It'll be. You really? Guys, I made sure that the audio and stuff was working just fine. It was just the music. Everything. Wait. Oh no, yeah. Everything else will be fine. Everything else will be fine.
Like 5 solid minutes before the show.
No. Everything else will be okay.
That was happening.
We already got a super chat. From Jessica. Said the line has a Jovan. All praise the monad, the one, the nothing, and the all. Thank you so much for the super chat, friend.
It's weird when it like memes and jokes from one channel like bleed over to the other. I get like Zerba comments on my TikTok now. I get Tommy Valkai on freaking everything. Like it's and now the monads creeping about. It's weird. These bits just follow me around like I have some sort of a group of people that watch me or something. It's weird.
People will tell me jokes from like jokes that you guys have on the line. They'll like say them when I'm in streams with like Arden or with Jimmy, and I'm just like, guys, I don't know these inside jokes, so you're not gonna get much from me.
That's what I'm saying. It's bizarre. Yeah, the monad was some guy who called in and tried to explain to us that all of the best physicists in the world agree on a thing that none of them have ever said. And it's that Jesus or something, because we're all united by this thing that is everything but nothing at the same time, because nothing is the same thing as infinity. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. We were all there for it. It was wild.
That's pretty great. I actually love that. Shout out to Rainmaker. Rainmaker, thank you for the super chat. Said, let's fucking go. Terrific team up. Hey, Jovan and Forrest in the morning. It's your new morning show. We are going to get started here very soon. The topics are as follows. Trans men and women are men and women. Duh. Gender affirming care for minors. The Christian God is evil. That's my favorite at the moment. Maybe it's just me, but I really love that topic. You can't prove God exists. MAGA and Trump are ruining America, and evolution is real. If you want to debate any of these, get ready to call in because we're going to open the call-in lines. Also, thank you for the super chat. Lokthari said, wow, two of my favorite educational YouTubers in one debate stream. Today must be my lucky day. It is. Oh, my God. It is your lucky day.
I'm especially on the debate board there. I'm especially excited about topics 1, 3, and 6. So, like, if you want to make my day, call in and talk to me about creationism, sex, and gender, and why the God of the Bible isn't worthy of worship, even if it exists. I would love to talk about those things more. I'll talk about all of them. This sounds like a fantastic lineup, but like those are my special favorites at this moment.
Yeah, I love all my topics equally, but it's just really fun listening to Christians not know how their own book works. So that's my love. Okay, can everybody hear the call? Yeah, we can. Hello, are you here to debate?
Yes, I am here to debate.
Okay. Forrest, can you hear? Can you actually hear?
Yeah.
No, you can't. Oh shit! 1 second, friend. 1 second. Say something for me, caller. Say something for me.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
1 second. I know exactly why. Guys. Hold on. I know exactly why. All I have to do is change this. Okay.
You want me to come back later?
No. I know exactly what's doing it. Hold on.
Thank you, Boo.
This one needs to be this, and it needs to be this. Okay, say something for me now, caller.
Okay, test. 1, 2, 3.
There we go. All right.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay, caller, what's your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Well, I called in before. You may recognize my voice.
I know who this is. Oh my God. No. I know who this
how would
is.
that help me?
I'm going to ask you a question on the board this time. So
wait. Okay, hold on. But I know the voice, and I know we've talked multiple times. I just cannot. I'm trying to remember the name without going to the last YouTube video we did.
I went by Lee first time we talked.
That's what it was, Lee. I remember Lee. Can you just remind me of your age, Lee?
I am 31, and I am a he/him guy.
Okay, Lee. And what topic did you want to discuss today?
Yes, I'm curious. How is MAGA and Trump ruining a country that's already been being ruined for decades?
Oh, they're doing it in hyperspeed is what's mainly the problem.
You know what, Lee? You know what? I might have to concede on that one. What? Where do you think the start of America's decline happened from, Lee?
I believe it started with Ronald Reagan.
Shoot, Lee, spin right now.
It might have, but I've only heard bad things about that Ronald Reagan guy, and it's really started with how productivity is going up, and but wages are going down. I'm not sure. I'm not an economic professor, but I'm pretty sure they should be leveled out somewhere in there.
You're not wrong, Lee.
But that's not what I was asking. I'm wondering what is MAGA and Trump doing that is actively making the country worse than it already is.
Well, so my answer would be that they're skirting constitutional rights that people have, and they're just like going against them, like at to a degree that we've not seen since probably Japanese internment camps.
Real?
Yeah.
I would have to agree. Yeah, it's that, and also just like when you say MAGA specifically, not just Trump, but like including MAGA, the entire cult of personality that's really changing the political landscape and the shape of political discourse. We have a fucking doofus on the YouTube chat right over here saying Trump is king with a bunch of crown emojis. That kind of rhetoric wouldn't have happened before MAGA, because people would have been able to say like, hey, kings are kind of like the opposite of what America's all about. And now we've gone well past, with that kind of rhetoric, well past the point where it was like, this was kind of like a phrase or a turn of phrase that meant like, oh, this guy's in charge, to actually know we want this guy to be our perpetual ruler and give him a fucking shiny golden crown and worship his orange dick all day long. And so like right. But it's impossible because of the Constitution. But let me tell you how little Trump gives a fuck about the Constitution. And so like, guarantee if they had it their way, Trump and his cult would absolutely institute a monarchy. They have said so. And so it's just like that kind of rhetoric and that kind of like political discourse and thought like that's something that was, as far as I know, largely unheard of before Trump came along. It certainly wasn't nearly as popular as it is today, if it was around.
Well, Constitution aside, Trump is not an immortal guy. He was going to die someday soon.
I mean, we can only hope, but at the end of the day, the fact remains that like the way that people talk about him and the way that people will talk about his successor, it's given like North Korea. It's Trump will continue to rule this country in death if they allow him to.
Real?
For real.
How do you think they would do that?
I mentioned North Korea, where you have still 2 generations of dead rulers still technically in charge of the country. You have this necrocracy of how people praise even their dead rulers and look up to them and say this way. And so having the cult of Trump being freed from Trump's dumbass mouth, where he says stupid shit that they then have to justify and explain away, having them be free of that means now they can just pursue the mission with him as this godhead of what they're doing. I'm just saying his death will be the end of him being a direct harm. It will not be the end of his cult continuing to push his quote mission and continue to do the same mental gymnastics and thought experiments or thought whatever the fuck that they do today, where it's early for me, sorry, where he can say out loud something that is blatantly wrong, do something that is blatantly stupid, and they will justify and explain it and just never understand how that cognitive dissonance works. He literally fucking drew on a map with a Sharpie. He had a fucking hurricane map during his first term that like he got from these scientists. Are like, hey, here's how the hurricane's going. And he had said something about how it was going to, I'm trying to remember the details of this. He said that the hurricane was going to hit somewhere that there was no way it was ever going to fucking hit. Our own National Weather Service, I think it was it NOAA? I don't know. Fucking gave him like an actual trajectory showing where it was going to go. And he just took a Sharpie and very fucking obviously and stupidly drew this horrible little pseudopod lump on it to say, no, look, see, it's this. And his fucking cultists believed that. They praised that. And then when it didn't happen, they still believed that. Dude fucking thought that a picture of somebody's knuckles with the numbers, the letters MS-13, like almost like doodled in. It was so fucking ugly. He thought that shit was real, and his cult thinks that shit's real. So like you have this kind of reality distortion field that surrounds the man, where people are going to justify and explain away and believe anything that he farts out. And when he's gone, they won't have to deal with that cognitive dissonance anymore. They'll just believe what they think he should say. And it's going to be, in my opinion, in my prediction, very much so like when we talk to religious folks on here. Jovan and I were talking, I think it was at the beginning of the show. You said, I love it when Christians don't know how their book works. We were talking about the Bible. the reason why there's over 40,000 denominations of Christianity, the reason why on every one of our shows we talk to Christians who don't know what's in the Bible, who don't know what Jesus actually said or what Jesus actually stood for, the reason why Jen Hamilton over on TikTok blew the fuck up and was receiving so many death threats from MAGA Republicans because she read the words of Jesus saying, feed the poor and the sick and the needy and all these things. And people, Christian Republicans, were saying, no, you don't know my God. And all this. That is because of this same kind of fucking brain rot. That is because of this same deliberate leaning into the cognitive dissonance and saying, no, two things can absolutely be true at once. Trump is this brilliant fucking leader and the dumbest sack of shit anyone's ever heard. And once he's gone, they won't have that barrier anymore. So I don't think his cult's going away. And I don't think that the fascist movement that surrounds him is going away. Project 2025 wasn't written by him. You know, it was written by a lot of people that he then appointed to do that job. So those motherfuckers are going to stay in power, and those motherfuckers are going to remain a problem, and they're going to use him as a golden idol well after he's gone. But that's just my prediction.
Eight with that.
Okay.
Eight with that. Truly.
Well, the reason I believe that the people worship him so much is that after, you know, in the 2008 there was a recession or something, right? And Obama promised change. He did really well at giving a message of change across to the country, but instead he sucked as bad as the previous president.
There's no way we can functionally say that Obama was as bad as Bush, because Bush got us into a recession and Obama got us out of a recession. So, like, you can say you can dislike Obama for a lot of reasons. I dislike him for a lot of reasons. I think he was a war criminal. I think he committed gross acts in overseas. But like, he arguably was a much better president than Bush.
No,
Yeah,
I can agree with him on a lot of things. Not so much economically.
Yes, he's very well spoken and more intelligent than Trump. But the thing is, Trump got his first term.
So are
after
most cats.
Obama. Hello?
Yeah,
Hello?
we can hear you, Lee.
Oh, sorry. I thought that the phone cut out. Well, one thing's certain. After Obama left office, Trump got in after him.
Yep,
on his first term
then Trump.
In 2016.
Yes, and then Trump tanked the economy. Trump was given a booming economy and then decided, I don't know how this works, and tanked it. Because as Republicans tend to do, they couple massive spending bills with cuts to revenue, which increases our increases the deficit and just royally screws us.
It does increase the deficit as well.
They take a
what
deficit on that
happens
deficit.
if we never pay off that
That's what I'm
debt?
saying.
Well, actually, what will actually happen?
What'll happen if we don't pay off our debt?
Yeah, it's like trillions. Like, is it still even is it even a possible idea to pay that off, or is that just a
We will
cause?
probably we'll probably never fully pay off the debt. We'll probably always have some level of debt. We just want to like minimize how much gets added to it every year. I mean, we could, if you have a president that comes in and then like crazy increases taxes on everybody and goes ham on cutting spending, they could theoretically get rid of the debt. Not in 4 years. I don't think it could happen in a 4-year period.
If only we had some sort of way to, bring in capital from like people that have way too goddamn much of it and keep taking it away from the population of our country and like taking it away from all the resources that we need for everybody else. We could just like take a little bit off the top of their earnings as some sort of a way for them to pay for the privilege of living here and making money here and taking advantage of our citizens and using our social services and all those things. And then we could like do this sort of small minor taking of their money in like appropriate like proportion compared to other people in the country that are paying much more of this already. And then those really, 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 really rich people that have all that money could, give this small amount in some sort of way. Then we could also fund a lot of social services and goods, including balancing the budget and eliminating the deficit, and also funding roads and schools and bridges and hospitals and things. If only we had that in this country, but I don't think we do. We seem to only have that for poor people.
So
But yeah,
how come,
oh, go ahead, Lee. But and then I do want to bring in some people that more disagree with us. But go ahead with one last.
okay, you might disagree on me. So with this, so why is Trump deporting so many people now, but not during his first term?
Why is he what?
Why is Trump deporting so many people as he is now than when he was in his first term?
Why is he deporting? Oh, why is he deporting
Thank you,
more
Bill.
people?
Yes,
Because
why
he's
is he
been given
deporting
more
people in this term than
he's been
his
given more
first.
he's been given more power to do it.
Yeah,
How
that's
so
the big.
exactly?
He now has. Oh, he's surrounded by way more cronies, and he has a way larger cult.
Hmm.
So there's less and
was
less
going
people that are going to
if you
stand
still
in his
had-
way.
if you still had
Also,
that-
I also want to throw out there that, like, also in his first term, he did a lot of heinous shit it was unprecedented at the time, and nobody stopped him. You know, Democrats just kind of continued to flop around and be like, he's hurting a lot of people. He's really an evil man. We're gonna wear pink hats, and that's gonna show him. You know what I mean? And like, that was like, it was still the same kind of performative shit that we've seen for so long, and they thought it was going to work against this guy too. And so now that he kind of knows what he's up against.
So I've heard that over in the UK, the immigrants are running the country. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, they aren't.
Yeah, it's the same great replacement theory bullshit that we get over here. It's just dumbass Nazi propaganda.
Are you sure? Because I've seen a few videos of people being arrested for supporting their own flag or something, or showing pride in their own country or something like that.
No idea. But I can tell you that, like, you know, seeing a couple of videos without context that I don't know about, like, I can't speak to it. It would be dishonest of me to just dismiss or lean into. But I can say that, like, what you're describing sounds an awful lot like the exact same shit that we hear from every other, you know, nationalist racist who's like, this is my country and it has to be this way, and people from my country look this way and talk this way and act this way and blah blah blah, and just generally don't like immigration at all because they're just fucking xenophobic. And so, like, that's what it sounds like you're saying to me. It sounds like you're referencing, and I know for sure that's a problem. So without any context on what you're talking about here, it would not be worth it for me to dig into it and try to justify it or make sense.
I'll just wrap this up because I need to put something on my own together, so I have something to show.
Sure. I would love that. Yeah, if you have anything you want to talk about later on, and if you find me on one of my shows or whatever like that, I'd love to dig into it if you have evidence.
I was going to ask Jovan there about. Oh, damn it! I got another call. Never mind. I was going to ask. Wait, hold on. Oh wait. I was going to ask him about a different topic, but it's not on the board right there. I was going to ask him about his pro-choice stuff, but it's not there on the board. So I guess next time, when he has it on there, I'll talk to him about that.
Yeah,
okay.
We can talk when it's back on the board.
Okay, sweet. Bye.
All right, Lee, have a good one.
I did see somebody. Yeah, it sounded like it. Yeah, I did see on the chat over on YouTube, a couple people also asked about the abortion and, like, why aren't we talking about it? We just didn't have room on the board, y'all. I mean, I can add it if people really want.
If people really want us to talk about it, I can add it to the board. It doesn't mean anyone's going to call about it.
I would be happy to, but it's really, if it's worth your time, the audience's time, whatever. Like, just.
Oh, I mean, I don't. Adding another topic is very easy. It's just, will people call in about it is the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pro-choice AF. More abortions, please.
I'm gonna do pro-choice all 9 months.
All 9 months, hell yeah.
I don't play. It'll take me a little bit to add it, so for now, I'll just open the call-in line back up, and we'll see if we can get another call. Okay, let me get that in. A lot of chirpers in the YouTube chat. Not a lot of people willing to call in, which is kind of embarrassing for you, chirpers. Before I take this, I just want to give a shout out to who was it?
What?
Shout out to Amanda for the Cash App said trans rights. I agree. Trans rights, Amanda. Oh, that person then hung up. I guess I took too long to read a Cash App for them. Sorry.
You son of a bitch.
Sorry, I was responding to a chat. Okay. Copy. Oops.
I especially want to talk to. I'm looking at because you have a lot of people in your chat that could call in but aren't. I especially want to talk to the person who says trans men and women are real men and women, yet you believe in evolution. Way to cherry pick science. Hey, I'm literally a biologist. I would love to talk to you. Call in and we'll talk about it. I would love to discuss science with you. It'd be a lot of fun.
Don't be scared, guys. Don't be scared. Don't
also,
be scared,
the person who said get a job. You'll never guess what this is for us.
You'll never.
Wonderful news for you about the nature of being a professional YouTuber. Turns out you can put things on them internets, and if enough people resonate with it, it becomes your job.
Oh, but I'm sure Joe Rogan has a real job, right?
No, he flips burgers 9 to 5, and then he sits down on a podcast and spews bullshit. It's great.
Stumble out of bed and coming in the kitchen. Pour myself a cup of ambition, yawn and stretch and try to come to life. All right, let's add. The call lines are open, by the way, guys.
I didn't expect the jams on this one.
What?
It's a bopping show.
We try to have fun here. Okay, and then let's grab this one. Let's see if we can put pro-choice on the list. Damn, it looks like we got a lot of chirpers. A lot of chirpers who are afraid to call in. That's embarrassing.
Is this why you said your shows go for 4 hours? Because the people just want to come to your chat and scream bullshit and then leave?
Yeah, we can start yelling at the chat if we want. Oh, never mind. We got a call in. Look at that.
Hey.
Either they hung up or I hung up.
God damn it.
When I hit the button that starts the recording process, their call hung up. So I don't know if their call, it's either they hung up at the same time, because I hit that button all the time. So either they hung up at the same time, call back, whoever you were. Just call back.
Would love to talk to you.
All you got to do
also,
is
I learned the
dream.
word chirpers today. I didn't know that was a thing.
Dream girls. Just give us a call back. It's okay. I promise.
While we're waiting, we can just recite.
I'm almost
some
done
concepts
second topic.
Forever. Just do we have another one? I see pro-choice all 9 months on there. That would be number 7, sir.
I promise if you call back, I'll answer. I didn't mean to not answer.
I don't know if you did.
But we can start yelling at them in the YouTube chat.
Hi, I'm Forrest Valkai.
Who needs to be shamed? Who in the YouTube chat is saying really stupid things that we should shame?
And I'm here to talk about sex and gender and evolution with strangers.
Here, you know
on
what? I'll even do you one better. Let's turn on the super chat.
Birds are dinosaurs.
And
people,
and
I love this because $2 from Lady Silent D. Birds are dinosaurs.
It's
Birds
hard
are dinosaurs,
to debate when I haven't heard why you think it's not good to deport criminals other than it hurts your feelings. Wow, that was...
You could call it an ask!
Impactful.
Birds are dinosaurs, which means birds are actually also reptiles, and people don't know about that and don't like that.
Nope, I muted. You were muted on my end. Nope, it was just me.
You son of a bitch!
It was just me.
I've been talking about your super chat this whole time.
Sorry, it was just me. Hello, are you here to debate?
God damn it.
Hello, Jesus loves you. How are you guys doing?
Oh, God, if Jesus loves me so much, why is he not on his knees for me right now?
He already went on his knees in the Garden of Gethsemane.
No, for me specifically.
Hot.
Why is he not on his knees for me specifically?
See that? Didn't you see it's for all mankind? It's
No. I don't accept love that's for everybody. So why wasn't he on his knees for me?
There's only God love and God hate, and you've shown your God hate. you show your God.
Oh, I absolutely. If the Christian God is real, I absolutely hate him. Yeah.
I have one question for you. This is biological.
Hold on. That's not how this works. That's not how this works.
You say.
Jesus Christ. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. I muted you. It's okay. I muted you because I don't know if he knows. I don't know if he knows that this is not his show, but I don't know that, I have a whole thing that I do at the beginning of calls, so he needs to be patient. Let's see if he's ready to speak now. Okay, great. Welcome back to the show, person that we don't know. Can you tell us your name, age, and pronouns, please?
I am a male human being. I am a he, him. Is that a pronoun for you?
He, him's not a pronoun for me. It's
a
pronoun in the English language, yes. Now you've answered one
male
of my...
human being is not a pronoun.
You've answered one of my questions. Can you answer the other two? The other two, please?
4 years old.
And your name?
I've been a Christian most of my life, but I stepped away from Christianity for 20 years to pretend to be an atheist.
How hard is this?
Very, apparently. Are you going to give us your name or no?
Richard.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
What topic on the board are you calling to talk about, Richard?
Evolution, my friend. Evolution.
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
Let's do it. That's what I do for the whole. That's literally my job is to talk about evolution. That sounds great.
Your job. Okay, we love your job. Okay, so genetic code. Can you name me another code that came from nowhere? That came without any kind of intellectual influence at all. And
So there's a yes. So a couple things that are really important to note here when we get right just right at the outset. I'm going to give you three concepts, and then we'll move into it a little bit further if that doesn't satisfy you. The first is that this is an argument that's frequently used by the Discovery Institute, especially like Stephen Meyer and the like, where the entire argument is DNA is sort of like a code, and therefore codes are languages that require a designer, and that designer happens to be not just any creator, but their specific version of their specific translation of their specific idea of their specific flavor of their specific God from their specific holy book, and blah, 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 blah. It sucks. It just doesn't work. So really this is not...
Atheism is not exist. It doesn't exist. You have hatred for God, sir. You hate your creator.
So
it's not about.
Right away, Richard, we're jumping off topic because I was talking about the thing that you asked.
Forrest, if you want me to mute him, just let me know. If you want me to mute him, just let me know.
You muted him a second ago. You muted him a second ago, and I could still hear him.
He's muted for the. He'll be muted for the stream.
You belittled my intelligence. You say
okay.
Okay, I just put him on hold.
So. Yeah. So here's the thing, Richard. I don't know if you've stopped talking because I could still hear you when Jovan muted you the last time and you never stopped talking the whole time. I can actually still hear you and you have not stopped talking. But just for everybody out there that is paying attention, Richard asked me a question. I was starting to answer his question about biology, and he flew into this fucking emotional tirade about how I hate a God that I don't even think exists. And now we've got who knows what he's talking about. I didn't even get to the second. I literally said I've heard this argument before. Here's where it usually comes from. That's all I've said. And now this is where we are. So Richard, are you ready for me to continue trying to answer your question?
In the high, because everybody
doesn't sound like it. I would love to actually answer your question, Richard. Are you going to let me answer your question about codes and where they come from? Well, now I can't hear you either, Jovan.
I muted myself. That was on me. He's currently muted, and I could still see him talking. So maybe now he's ready. Richard, are you ready to have the actual conversation or no?
I'm actually... Are you going to not belittle me?
Well, you interrupted
I haven't belittled you. I started answering your question, and you went on a whole tirade.
All right. Well, you're saying that it's a supposed code. It actually is a code. It's a digital code. It's a very complex digital code. I want to know how it's not complex enough for you, and how that information.
I never said that it wasn't complex. I never said that it wasn't complex. You're putting words in my mouth.
Okay, so you're saying it's complex. How did the complexity get there?
Okay, so I'm going to finish answering the first question that you asked, and then I'll get to that one, because you cut me off while I literally, all I ever said was, I have heard this argument before, and you went on a whole fucking thing for 3 minutes. So the first part is, yes, this argument frequently, this argument.
Hold on, excuse me.
This argument.
I want to talk.
Oh yeah, no, pardon me for talking over you. No, you're right. Go right ahead.
When I'm telling you, when you come back and you wanted to make a little belittling comment about every little thing, that my fairy god and everything like that, you don't have to be belittling.
What belittling thing did I say specifically?
Can't you be genuine with your speech instead of being belittling?
What belittling thing did I specifically say to you, Richard?
God,
Richard, what belittling thing did I say to you?
You were using belittling information. You were using belittling language.
Me? What did I say specifically?
I didn't realize the right were such fucking snowflakes, bro.
Listen to what you were saying. That it has to be my little way with my little god and my little fairy tale.
I didn't say that at all, and I never used the term fairy tale.
That's exactly how you were speaking, man. You were belittling my intelligence.
Bro, stop being such a baby.
I'm going to repeat what I said because I know what I said. I never used the term fairy tale. What I said, Richard, was that people at the Discovery Institute, like Stephen Meyer, who is the person who is most famous, as far as I know, for putting this argument out, that DNA is sort of like a code and therefore needs a code or a designer and blah, 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 and that designer always happens to be not just some generic god, but his specific version of his specific translation, of his specific interpretation, of his specific copy of his specific holy book. That's what I said. At no point did I direct any of that at you, and at no point did I say fairy tale.
I consider that very belittling.
Me personally,
okay, what part about it is wrong?
I just want to say real quick that I don't think you can belittle an intelligence that's already little, but
God that is alive and can act in your life if you'll give them a chance. But you are absolutely
what part of what I said, Richard, is incorrect. If you say that I'm belittling somebody when Stephen Meyer's entire platform and the Discovery Institute's entire platform is pseudoscience masquerading as real science, putting up creationism and intelligent design as if it is actual science, specifically so that they can push specifically the Christian God in specifically the way that they interpret it. How is that wrong when I then say they are saying there's a creator and it happens to be their specific translation, their specific version, their specific preference of their specific God? That is literally what they do.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is it a complicated code?
Or you could answer the question that I just asked you. That would be great.
What is the question you asked me?
Okay, so you weren't listening at all. So I'll repeat the question again. You were accusing me of belittling you specifically because I talked about how Stephen Meyer and the Discovery Institute use bullshit arguments to propose a creator, and that creator happens to always be their specific version of their specific God. And you accused me of belittling you specifically with that. I'm asking you, what part of what I said is incorrect?
Will you forgive me for my
And you haven't stopped talking this entire time.
I'm waiting for you to answer.
Yeah, see, the whole time you were... Richard, the whole time you were just talking, I asked the question again, and you didn't hear it because you can't shut the fuck up long enough to have a conversation.
I'm waiting for you to forgive me for talking over you.
I just did. You didn't hear it because you were talking over me.
Okay, so ask the question now, please.
So, okay, so you want me to ask the question now for the fourth time. Are you going to listen this time?
I'm waiting.
That was a yes or no question, Richard.
Yes, I said I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
I'm ready.
So now I'm gonna give the question for the fourth time, and if you talk over me this time, I'm gonna stop trying because it's clearly not worth anybody's time to continue, right? So the question that I asked you was, the Discovery Institute uses this specific argument that you have started with, that DNA is like a code and therefore needs a coder. They use this argument frequently to push the idea not just of a creator, but of their specific Christian God, their version, their interpretation, their ideal of this one specific God. Stephen Meyer, in particular, is very notorious for doing this and is also a founding member of the Discovery Institute. So when you accused me of belittling you specifically by pointing that out, my question then to you was, what did I say that was wrong, and what did I say that was about you?
Actually, you didn't say anything that was wrong about me or anyone else. You didn't say anything. You just made your opinion very well known, and I just kind of flew off because I knew that I have a somewhat bad temper, and I wish to apologize for that.
Great. So let's move forward now. The first question that I appreciate the apology. Let's now move forward to the next thing. You started this conversation by asking me where DNA code comes from and all this different stuff. And I told you I was going to give you 3 points that elucidate the situation. The first one was that this is a very common talking point from the Discovery Institute and Stephen Meyer, who are a pseudoscience organization that spread this bullshit. It's a very common talking point. So that was literally all I said. I know where this is coming from. The second thing is that you said in your opening statement that how did this information come from nowhere? It didn't. And nobody's claiming that it did. I'm a biologist, and I'm telling you, I know plenty about DNA. It didn't come from nowhere. I'm not claiming that it did at all. I am claiming that it does not need a designer. And that's pretty evident as far as I'm concerned, looking at DNA. The third thing is that this has unless you were asking about how DNA changes, this has very little to do with evolution. And so I'm curious to know, are you talking about like how DNA works? Are you talking about how DNA changes? Or are you just talking about where DNA came from in the first place? Because these are all very different questions. And I want to try to answer a specific question for you without getting on 13 different tirades and you leave this call thinking that I was dodging you or avoiding you. I want to try to hammer down what the actual concern is. And we can cover many of them. But my question to you, Richard, what specifically is it about DNA that you would like to talk about? And what specifically about DNA leads you to believe that it requires design?
Okay. It happens to be that I am a redhead. I have red hair. DNA gave me this red hair. DNA also gave me freckles. DNA gave me blue eyes. DNA gave me fairly tasty white skin. And in some areas, I have like little moles in certain areas of my body. All of this comes from information given to my stem cells by DNA. I want to know where the information for red hair and eyeballs that are blue and freckles, where did that information come from? Where did it originate from?
Okay. So having red hair and freckles is a variation of a particular gene, MC1R, I believe. There's this one particular gene it's a melanin coding gene. If Jovan and I have a chemical called eumelanin in our hair, skin, and eyes, and all those things. Oh, my eyes are blue, so I have none of that. But like in my hair and skin, eumelanin, that's what gives you brown coloration. If you have red hair and freckles, you have a variation of that called pheomelanin. This is a mutation that arose on the MC1R gene, believe 30 to 50,000 years ago is how far back. It may be a little, I think 30 to 80. But a few tens of thousands of years ago is when this mutation arose. is when we see this. So you have a gene that codes for one thing. You have a minor mutation on that gene that causes it to code for a slightly different thing. Do you understand how mutations work, or would you like me to explain that in a way that makes sense so that we don't get hung up on it moving forward?
I understand what mutation is and adaptations.
Okay, great. Well, mutation and adaptation are different things.
Well, are they? Because red
Yes.
hair kind of occurs in the northern areas of the Earth, and it
Right.
somewhat works taking care of. Well, the freckles kind of help with seeing very well in snowy conditions where everything is very, very bright out. It seems to act kind of like the black paint that they put under their eyes. Freckles kind of work like that. So, and it occurs in northern areas of the world. So I do understand that
So
mutations occur.
I just want to be clear
When
that
especially when the environment is involved, and the environment does dictate how mutations adapt our body to our surroundings. Go ahead.
no, that's not really how that works. It's important to, like, here's the thing, dude. I'm going to be real with you. I can explain this difference. It isn't really relevant. So do you want to get into how mutation and adaptation works, or do you want to focus on where DNA and code comes from? What are we doing? Because that's a different conversation, and it's a little complicated, but it's not too complicated.
DNA and code. Were you actually present 50,000 years ago to observe this actual occurrence?
No, but we can track it. We can track it using molecular clocks and like genealogies, DNA records, ancient DNA. Like, there's a lot of ways that we can learn how these things work. So the were you there argument really, really doesn't work, especially in terms of biological science.
Well, it kind of does work when you talk about when you're talking about sedimentary rock layers.
I'm not.
Sedimentary rock layers have no. Well,
Forrest, he can't hear me right now. I'm just letting you know that in 2 minutes he's getting the boot because someone paid to boot him.
Rock layers, and the problem with that is, for the sedimentary rock layers to work properly, you have to have a gauge of time. The problem is there is no gauge in time in the sedimentary rock layers because they occurred very rapidly. They didn't occur slowly like everybody says, because here's the evidence for what I'm saying.
So
you're putting 50. Hold on. This is what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. You're saying that the sedimentary rock layers at certain points 50,000 years ago underneath this ground, this is where this particular genetic mutation come from, and it's, I don't know, probably 50 feet down, whatever you guys call that. Here's the problem. When you look at the sedimentary rock layers, you don't have any erosion within those sedimentary rock layers. You have no primordial canyons that join.
I just want to be very clear, Richard.
With the Devonian area.
Richard, I am interrupting you, and I'm doing it on purpose because hold on. I'm sorry, Richard. This is not your show. I am interrupting you on purpose because what you're saying right now, number one, is wrong, but number two is completely irrelevant to mutation, which is what you said you wanted to talk about. So I can get into sedimentary rock layers and how they work, but that is yet another completely different conversation.
Hold on.
You started talking about where does DNA code come from, and then we talked about where does red hair and freckles come from, and now we're talking about sedimentary rock.
You want to? Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Jesus loves you.
For what? You changed the topic 5 times every time we got to starting to understand something.
Say 50,000 years ago, that puts you in a timetable, and you're using sedimentary rock to prove your timetable.
Hey, Richard.
No, I'm not.
Richard.
I don't.
Richard.
I don't have to use rock layers to back that up.
Hey, Richard. Richard. Holy shit, kick rocks. Jesus Christ.
I'm trying to get across. Yes, sedimentary rock layers are a thing. They are one way that we can date a site, date a concept. I was talking about molecular clocks. That has nothing to fucking do with radiometric dating or rock layers or whatever other problem he had. I didn't even need to use that point to back up my argument, but Richard wouldn't know that because the motherfucker couldn't stop talking long enough to have an actual conversation with somebody who studies this shit for a living. He's just going to go on believing what he wants to believe. And it's exactly like what I talked about. He's going to walk away from this conversation claiming that I was dodging his arguments and I wasn't able to attack because he just kept changing the topic every single fucking time he was confronted with any kind of facts. I don't know how to handle that. I don't know what to say to you, Richard. Go back and rewatch this call and see if there was ever a point where I didn't directly address exactly what I were talking about.
We
So
don't
fucking
stand
lazy,
Richard
dude.
in this house.
So lazy.
I'm gonna clickbait that title so bad. Oh, that title's getting clickbaited. Real quick to read the super chats we got during that call. From Doom Gal said, Forrest, new fan of yours. You are looking great.
But you don't have to be a liar. You can come in here and be polite.
Oh my
You don't have to lie.
god, crazy. From Danger Dave said, Jovan, now you need to get Matt Dillahunty on here. Me and Matt will be live on the line on Wednesday.
Hell yeah.
So look forward to that. I am very worried because my atheism arguments are almost entirely geared just towards how much I hate Christianity. So like just normal theology, I can stumble a little bit, but we'll see what happens. From Lady Silent D said, birds are dinosaurs. No, they're fucking not. Birds are birds. Dinosaurs are dinosaurs. I'll die on this hill. Don't look at me like that.
That's not true. That's not true. That is objectively, patently, obviously not true.
Another biologist being paid by Big Bird to spout Big Bird talking points. Birds are birds.
My Big Bird checks aside. That's not true.
I will die on this hill. I'm never going to concede to this point. You know, it's funny.
I can't tell if you're fucking with me or not.
It's absolutely a bit. I know that birds are dinosaurs. Like I get it. But like, actually, I would say dinosaurs are birds and birds are birds.
That's less true.
Yeah,
that's
dinosaurs
less
are
true
actually
than what
birds.
you said a minute ago.
Dinosaurs and birds are all birds with
than saying
dinosaurs.
birds aren't dinosaurs.
I do this.
If you say
bit,
birds aren't dinosaurs, we're having an argument about nested hierarchies, and now you're having an argument about whether you can cram the big Russian doll into the small Russian doll.
Yeah, birds are birds, dinosaurs are dinosaurs. I do this bit on Instagram, and I did this bit so hard on Instagram that people unfollowed me. They were so upset with me. And I was like, bro, that's crazy. This is from Valkyrie. Valkyrie sent the $20 literally at the start of the call and was like, this is for in 20 minutes. I was like, okay. Who's a what's it said add Zionism to the list. Possibly. I don't like debating about the genocide in Gaza. I will talk about it if somebody calls in to talk about it, but I don't like making it a topic on the board because I just don't think there's anything to debate. It's a genocide. I don't split hairs.
If you wanna hear something about it, last night I was on the line on the Sunday Show After Dark with Eric, and I got an email from a guy in Israel claiming that this isn't a genocide and that I'm being very subjective and all this stuff. And I encouraged him to call in and defend his claims. And you can watch an hour-long conversation between me and that fucking guy, where he talks about why this isn't a genocide because you don't understand, like, Muslims don't win that many Nobel Prizes and Jews do, and therefore it's okay.
What?
And it's just fucking disgusting shit. It's horrifically gross, and it just gets worse and worse as we go along. He starts out by saying that the genocide isn't happening, and then he goes into, yeah, of course the people of Gaza are starving, but, I mean, people starve all over the world. And then he gets finally into the end of, you don't understand, Muslim culture is so inferior to mine. This is a good thing. And it's just like, fuck, I don't know. Like it gets crazier and crazier as the call goes on. And if you need help inducing vomiting for medical reasons, check out that video. It's great.
Good to know. From Black Sarah Connor said, Richard is not listening at all. He keeps talking. Yep. Thank you for the super chat from HackingTech, and thank you for the super chat from Melatonin Ale said, Richard is like the apologist from yesterday, can't shut the fuck up for 2 seconds and then pivots immediately when there is a logical response. Ain't that just the way, yo? Ain't that just the way? Thank you guys for the super chats. We're going to open the call-in line. This means YouTube is kicking your ass, Twitch. I just want you to know, because you guys get upset when YouTube beats you. YouTube is beating you. So if you guys want to also win some merch, Cash App of Venmo is in the bio. Call-in line is back open if you want to call in to debate. Oh, the pro-choice topic isn't there. I gotta
It was there a minute ago.
It's just one of them that I have to fix, but that's okay. Hello, are you here to debate?
Hey, how's it going? It's HackingTech.
Oh, welcome in, HackingTech.
Alrighty. So I wanted to discuss the primary topic that's on the top, which says trans men. If I'm understanding that, it says trans men are women and trans women are men.
Oh,
correct?
no, you've got that a little backwards. It's that trans men and women are men and women. So trans men would be men and trans
women. Okay, yeah, if you're a trans woman, you're a woman. You're a trans man, you're a man.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, so one thing, just a little bit of like a background, I guess, would help. I'm not really conservative or liberal because I kind of lean in between, I move a little bit left and right, I guess. I have like ideas that I have agreements and disagreements. And English is also not my first language, so pardon me if I make any mistakes. But
what is your first language?
I wanted to really see your logic on why trans women are women and why trans men are men, correct? That's the claim, correct?
Yeah, trans women and trans men would fit into the sociological categories of man and woman that we have sort of accepted and understood throughout, like, in at least our current, like, Western society. So because they fit into the sociological categories, because there isn't anything barring them from those categories, then, yeah.
Can I, really quickly, could you please give me your name one more time? Because Jovan's a terrible fucking host who hasn't put it on the screen yet.
Shit.
And also we don't know your age or pronouns.
I always forget when somebody calls in that's from the chat.
You can call me Ilya. You can call me Ilya. My pronouns would be he and him. What are the other questions?
Your age.
Age is 30. I'm 30 years old.
Not Forrest calling me the fuck out,
All right.
Okay, so Ilya, really quickly, just to make sure we're on the same page before we dive into it, are you familiar with the concept that sex and gender are different things?
So I kind of disagree that sex and gender are different things. I think that they're inherently connected, and I have an argument for that. I could be definitely wrong, but I'd just like to see your perspective on that. But
sure.
My essential argument is
fundamentally,
go ahead.
I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just saying, like, the reason why I asked that is because it will fundamentally change the landscape of this entire discussion, whether you say yes or no, like that. So just before we get into what Jovan was talking about,
I do just want to point out, though, really quickly. I do just want to point out, them being connected doesn't discount that they're separate. So they can be two separate things that have a connection. Both can be true.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I think that they are the same thing. I think that they are connected and they are the same thing. Just a little bit of background. I'm Iranian, and in Iran, sex and gender essentially are the same word, and they're connected in that sense as well. They're the same in that sense. But the reason why I wanted to bring this argument is because when I see trans men, or let me actually start with trans women. Let's say I'm a man, right, and I want to transition into becoming a woman. I go to the doctor and I tell them, hey, I feel like a woman, and then they give me hormones to use. And my argument is that because they give me the hormones of the opposite sex to transition my gender, that inherently, at least to some degree, shows that they are, at the very least, if they are not the same, they are heavily connected because I'm using the hormones of the opposite sex to transition my gender. And that's really the basis of my argument. And I want to know what you think of that and how you want to dispute that.
Well, I think you just have like a base level misunderstanding of what sex and gender are, but we can dive into that.
Okay, go ahead and enlighten me.
Let's take it. So This is a super common argument as well. Where I see this all the time. It's like, if gender is a social construct, then why does gender affirming care exist, right? And the answer is you're not far off when you say that sex and gender are associated. That makes sense. That is obviously true, right? But they are fundamentally distinct.
Right.
So, but the key here is that, like, when we talk about sex and gender being associated with each other, that actually plays into our definitions of gender. That makes sense in that way. And so, take, for example, you talk about gender affirming care. Most gender affirming care is used for cisgender individuals, right? So, like, I'm a man, I want to feel more masculine. I get hair plugs, I get pec implants, I get, a Viagra, whatever it may be. I'm a woman, I want to feel more feminine. I get breast augmentation, I get lip filler, I get whatever. So, like, these are gender affirming care that are even things like hormones. Most hormone therapies are used for cisgender people. Estrogen supplements after menopause, testosterone supplements later in life to help with motivation and energy. Like, these types of things are usually used for cisgender people. And so if these are things that help you feel more comfortable in your gender, then yes, they would also be used for transgender people as well. The distinction is what that gender actually is. And yes, sex characteristics are associated with gender. The key is that they are not necessary for gender. They are not the exact same thing as gender. They are not synonymous with gender. They're just associated with it. And that's why we see such diverse presentation in sex characteristics within biological sex and also across gender lines. So say, for example, I'm a man, I have gynecomastia, I start developing breast tissue. That doesn't make me not a man anymore. That doesn't take away from my masculinity. That doesn't take away from my manhood. What that might do is affect my perception of myself and cause some gender incongruence or cause some gender dysphoria or cause some discomfort, mental discomfort, when I think about myself as a gendered individual. And therefore, I might go get the gender affirming care of gynecomastia reduction and removing that tissue so that I am more confident, more comfortable in my gender presentation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I just, in my sense, I don't necessarily look at any cosmetic surgery as much of a gender-related thing. I mostly focus on with the argument that I have is where the hormones are, and so, like, since let's say I'm trying to become a woman, since I'm a man, they give me the hormones of the opposite sex, and so. Maybe I guess we don't disagree too much. Maybe I guess we only disagree 50% of the way.
Well, I think one of the issues, Ilya, is that I think like when we're talking about gender and we're talking about gender affirming care and we're talking about people transitioning, a really big aspect of this would be like diagnosable gender dysphoria, right? Mm-hmm. Because when it comes to like
we
somebody
know how
who,
this is
who
going
gets,
to go.
When it comes to somebody who gets, for instance, hormone therapy, right? Typically, what we see is that they have their phenotypic representation of their sex does not align with their gender, and because they live in a society that is heavily gendered, and part of that gendering in society is these traditional, typical phenotypic traits, they want to align that with themselves. This is to do with a lot of different things. There's a psychological phenomenon called schema that sort of plays a role into this, and phenomena is just an aspect of our brains. But because of this, they want to just align those phenotypic traits with what is typical in a given society. Now, you might even see if you have a society that is, for instance, a lot more androgynous, you're going to see that trans individuals probably aren't going to be as focused on transitioning in certain ways that you might see in like our society that's typical, right? Because they're not separating gender via these phenotypic traits in the same ways that we are.
Right. So what I'm kind of one question I have for you. Do you think that like when you speak to trans people and you ask them how they got to this like gender dysphoria or how they felt their gender dysphoria, do you think that this is more of a cosmetic thing? Do you think that they, for instance, just as an example, let me back up a couple steps. I've spoken to some trans people, and some of the things that they've said is like, I looked in the mirror and the shape of my body, the appearance, my appearance did not match my desires. Therefore, I went and took the hormones of the opposite sex or gender, whichever you want to call, to be able to transition. Do you think that this stems from people looking at themselves more visually, like in a more appearance-wise, and trying to change their appearance? Using that, I don't know if I'm getting the message across, the question across.
Maybe I'm not understanding.
It sounds like you're asking, like, is gender affirming care or you know, any kind of like any kind of gender affirming care that causes a physical altercation to your body, is that purely cosmetic just to make you look the way you want, or is that actually like a medical necessity? Is that what you're asking, or is it something a little bit different?
Because that is kind of what I'm asking, because as a little bit of a more information about myself, I sometimes cross-dress as the opposite gender, and but I don't look at myself as a woman. I live most of my life as a man. You know, as a masculine, not really a masculine man. I'm kind of in between, so that way I can cross-dress and not be super bulky, right? Looking in, let's say, lingerie or something. But it's like, you know, like in my mind, when I'm looking at this, I see that trans, let's say, women are trying to look more like a woman through using these hormones to try to, let's say, have the hormones help them grow some breasts, right? Or, you know, potentially those hormones helping, let's say, fat distribution, change in their body so that, you know, they could have a, let's say, bigger butt, for instance. Or in many cases of trans women, I see that after a while of them taking the hormones, that starts to affect their voice box. In addition to some of the exercises and things that they learn to do to try to make themselves sound more feminine, I think that it's more of a cosmetic sort of thing than anything really else. I mean, it definitely helps with psychology because hormones will affect you, you know, up and down.
So let me just kind of cut in here for a second, because I want to try to get back to the point we're on. So you doing drag, like that actually, like we can use that as a way to understand this a little bit, because being, you know, doing drag is not the same thing as being transgender, right? So
that's true. Yeah,
using this perspective. Yeah. So let's try to use this perspective as a way to build a bridge here, right? You said, you know, you put on, you know, women's clothing, you do this cross-dressing thing, but that doesn't mean that you feel like a woman, right? So I want you to imagine for a minute, if you look in the mirror and don't recognize the person looking back at you unless you are doing that drag, and then suddenly this is now making more sense. You recognize yourself a little bit better. Imagine if, actually try this instead. Imagine if, you know, if you say you do drag, but it doesn't make you feel like a woman. Imagine if you were socially expected to wear that drag all the time, every day, forever. And you're like, hey, but I'm a man under this. And we're like, no, you're fucking not. And how that would fuck with you and how weird that would feel. And so that's kind of what we're talking about here when we talk about people who are transgender. You've used the term frequently, like becoming a woman. Like if I was a man and I was trying to become a woman. What's key to remember is that trans women are women. Therefore, before they transition, before they go through this process, they were a woman the whole time. They learn this about themselves. They discover this about themselves. They come out to themselves. They come out to their family. And then they start living the life of a woman. And maybe they start to transition medically as well, because there's difference between like social transition, physical transition. These are all different stages of this. And so it's a lot like if we were talking about, say, for example, homosexuality. This person was gay the whole time. They learned about that. They learned that about themselves later. They came to terms with that about themselves later. They admitted that later. They started living the life of a gay person later, but fundamentally they were always gay. And in this case, we talk about trans men and women. They were always the gender that they are. They just took a little while to learn that about themselves and present that and come to terms with that and start doing that. So in the same way, if I were to lock you into that feminine uniform, if I were to lock you into those clothing that you don't feel represent you in the long term, and maybe sometimes it's okay, but most of the time you're like, hey, yo, I'm a dude and I don't know why I'm in this dress, and we're like, no, fucking shut up, you're a woman the whole time, and it would feel crazy to you and it wouldn't feel right. That is exactly what we're talking about here with trans people. And that's why gender affirming care, one of the many reasons, not the whole argument, but that maybe can help you kind of understand when we're talking about gender affirming care, when we're talking about social transition as well as medical transition, they are just trying to get their external appearance to match their internal sense of themselves. That's what's happening.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I'm not really at a disagreement. I don't want to get off on a bad foot or anything. I feel like I kind of agree. It's one of those topics that is, I feel like you have to kind of sit there and think about it until it simmers in. But I think that it's, I think that you are definitely correct in many of the points you say. And I think I actually, we agree on the fact that, it's that they're trying to get their outside appearance to match their inside feeling or their psychological state. Okay, well, that's not a bad argument. That's a very good argument. I still think that, like...
Thank you.
Like, I still think that, like...
Is it okay now? I'm sorry, Ela.
Go ahead.
Ela, I'm sorry to cut you off, but before we move on to the next thing, I really appreciate how patient you've been with us. Before we move on to the next thing, I want to get back to the first topic, which was whether or not sex and gender are the same thing, because that really does shape the rest of this conversation. If we don't get that, then we're going to be talking past each other for a lot of this. Is it okay if we focus on that first?
No problem. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, wonderful.
So
with sex and gender being different things, I'd like to give you an example that I think could help.
Could you repeat that one more time? Sorry.
So in order to help elucidate how sex and gender are different things, I have a couple of examples that I think might be able to help. If you would like, however, I would love to hear your definition of what the words man or woman mean, and we can build off of that. Or I can start on my end. It's your choice as a guest. What would you like?
I guess I'll present mine. I believe that a man would be somebody that represents themselves both psychologically in terms of behavior and in terms of appearance for a large part, not entirely. Like you said, sometimes men could have breasts or women could not have, as feminine breasts, as you would, let's say, suggest. I think that sex and gender are connected, we already agree with that. I think that they're the same because you have to be psychologically feeling like a man and appearing as a man. But from the day that you were born, based on your genetics. I don't want to really move into the genetic topic because we already went with that. But, that's really the principle of why I think that. I think that obviously they both got a match, and that's the target of trans people. They're trying to match the appearance and the psychology. But I think that
what I wrote
starts
down,
from when you are born.
Okay, so I wrote that down, and I don't think that it was... What I wrote down isn't super coherent, so I'm going to read it back to you, and I want you to tell me how I can refine this, because I want to make sure that I'm understanding exactly what you're saying. What I wrote down is a man is someone who represents themselves psychologically, in behavior, and in appearance as a man, and are also male genetically from birth. Is that a fair summary?
Yes.
Okay, so let's focus on that, because what it seems like you've done here is you've blended... you blended genotypic and also phenotypic and also social traits all together into one thing. And I can get where that would be a confusing situation. So let's try to pick apart each part of this. You said you didn't want to get into the genetics of it. Why not?
Just because I felt like we would have gotten into the Richard situation. Well, I'm not religious, to be clear, but
Yeah. Where we're jumping from topic to topic.
it's-
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's touch it just for a second. We're not going to get too far into it, but let's just touch it for a second. Okay.
No problem.
If we can say genetically from birth, okay, do you understand that when we talk about genetics and sex, that's not a binary system, right?
Genetic and sex being a binary system. I feel like it kind of
Like
is.
sex chromosomes.
I feel like it
that's
kind
not
of
a
is.
binary. It's not one or the other.
Okay. We'll go with that.
That's what I'm talking. So like, say for example, they're what we call intersex people who have intermediate sexual characteristics. Sex is not just chromosomes. There's actually several different layers to sex. There's chromosomal sex, hormonal sex, gonadal sex, gametic sex, phenotypic sex, and anatomical sex. There's all these different kinds of sex, all these different layers of sex, right? The thing that's really important to remember about biological sex is that it is not just a single switch going one direction or the other. It's what we call a multivariate system. So there's lots of different variables that go into this system. And each and every one of those variables, I could say actually, not a single one of those variables is solely determining the outcome of that system. And not a single one of those variables has only two options. So focusing on genetics, that's only one layer of sex. And it can have lots of variations. So we talk about intersex people just on the genetic scale. There are, for example, people with Swyer syndrome. Swyer syndrome is when you have XY allosomes. So you have XY chromosome. Allosome is a word. Don't worry about it. But we have XY chromosomes, but they're phenotypically female. So they have a uterus, they have a vagina, they have breasts. They develop totally female, even though they have XY chromosomes. And there are plenty of case studies of women with Swyer syndrome getting pregnant and having children, having healthy kids, right? So this person lives their whole lives as a woman. They look like a woman, they act like a woman, they feel like a woman, all these things, and they can get pregnant and they can have kids, but they have XY chromosomes the whole time, right?
Right.
And that's one of many examples. If we're going to say that gender and sex are both the same thing and they're associated with your genotype, your genetics from birth, well then either you need to agree with me that some men can give birth and some men can be pregnant because this is someone with XY chromosomes. They're clearly a man, right? Or you need to agree with me that this part of your definition doesn't make any sense and that actually some women can have XY chromosomes. So the genetic from birth part lining up purely with woman or man doesn't actually track. Do you see where I'm coming from here?
Yeah, I kind of see what you mean. I have one question. Do you think that the reason why somebody thinks about themselves as the opposite gender, and so therefore they want to go ahead and go through with a transition, do you think that is stemming from potentially their genetics influencing their psychology and their mindset about that?
I don't have any evidence for that. So there's no reason to believe that right now.
Okay,
there doesn't appear there does appear to be some genetic component to things like homosexuality, but I don't know any genetic component to being trans. No.
Then we pretty much, I guess, agree on most of this. I guess I'm not that much, in disagreement. I kind of wanted to just, get your opinion. I wasn't really trying to come at you with a disagreement, but it's like I'm kind of, as somebody who,
you're doing an amazing job, Elon.
Go ahead. Yeah, no problem, man.
No, I'm letting you know. You're not bothering me. You're doing great.
If we're going to get to, yeah, no worries. Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah,
so
I think
in your
we're
definition,
kind of on the same page on that. My definition.
In your definition, you said a man represent. So in your definition, you said a man is someone who represents themselves psychologically in behavior and in appearance as a man and is also genetically male from birth. What I'm just trying to get across to you is that last part just isn't necessary. That and also is genetically this way or that way, because I just gave you an example of a woman with Swyer syndrome, so women can have XY chromosomes. Men can have what's called De La Chapelle syndrome, where they have XX chromosomes, and that happens for a variety of ways, one of which is that all or part of what's called the SRY gene, which is a sex-determining gene for mammals, can translocate. It can be moved from a Y chromosome to an X chromosome, and then you can have XX chromosomes but still have male development. There are also other ways that can work where you don't need a SRY gene at all, because the genes for male development and female development, not all of them are even on the sex chromosomes. And so you could have this completely removed and have XX chromosomes and still have complete male development. So, and that's just talking about those two. There's also people who have mosaicism or chimerism, where they have both XX and XY chromosomes in different cells in different places of their body. Or you can have things like Klinefelter syndrome, where you have more than just, you have XXXY or XXXYY. You can have Jacobson's, I think it's Jacobs syndrome, where you can have two Ys. And like, there's a lot of variation here, right? And nobody's saying that these people are a third sex, right? But what's key to remember is that when we try to say, okay, here's this clear-cut genetic line, that doesn't necessarily line up with either their phenotype, how their body looks, or with their gender. So I'm just going to say, like, if we're just starting with your definition here, that last line to say, and also they are genetically male or female from birth, that last line is unnecessary, and it detracts from your definition. So are you okay with us removing that from your definition? Or do you think that we should keep it?
Yes. Sure. I want to go ahead and move about. I wanted to say something about a comment you made in regarding to when I asked, do you think that when these people look at, let's say, inside the mirror, or at some point they recognize that they are not who they are in their current body, that would potentially be a result of a genetic, and you said, or genetic mutation or whatever factor, let's say genetic factor. You said that you don't have evidence that such a thought in their head would be created as a result of their genetics, and you said you don't have evidence. Neither do I.
Yes.
But I think once that evidence comes out, I think that probably will clear things up a lot, because I think the key to getting to a conclusion in regarding to whether sex and gender are the same is once we find out if their feeling is a result of some genetic mutation, that would help us get to a conclusion. And when I say us, I mean the world as a whole, not just me and you.
You're right. So a couple of issues with what you're saying here. Number one is, and this was probably just a slip of the tongue. I realize this in your first language, but I want to point out, like you said, once that comes out. What you mean is if that comes out, right? Like we don't know that is a thing. So without evidence, I can't say that exists. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And so I just want to be clear, when I'm saying I don't have evidence for that, I'm not saying that is or isn't true. I'm saying I have no reason to believe that is true. I don't believe that is true because I don't have a reason to say it is. There's no indication of that yet. Now, as far as if that was the case, if we found, hey, here's this genetic whatever that's associated with this, that doesn't necessarily mean that we can pin it down to one thing. Like I said, there is evidence of a genetic component to homosexuality. However, there is no such thing so far as a gay gene or anything like that, right? We don't have any indication that this one gene or this group of genes or whatever actually influence that. We can just see that it appears to be heritable, and it's more strongly associated with twins, and like we can find things like that give us evidence for a genetic component. We don't see that with trans people, as far as I know.
I see.
The
Okay,
third and most important thing,
that's good.
the third and most important thing is, even if that was the case, that wouldn't detract from anything else that we understand about trans people. And we need to be very careful not to pathologize, meaning to make being trans into some disease that we say, okay, well, now we know the cause, we can cure it, right? Because there's no evidence that being trans is bad, harmful, anything like that. So we don't have evidence that there's a genetic component, and we don't have evidence that it's a bad thing. So really, it's just kind of redundant. It just doesn't make any sense to dig into it from this perspective right now. It's interesting, but it doesn't really play into this argument very much.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank you for that. That gives me definitely more data to use to look. into more and potentially, maybe, hopefully, have more debates in the future with. But that's pretty much it. I just wanted to see how you think about that and how you would rectify that. I still kind of like, I'm sort of unsure on the whole thing. But I think I kind of understand what you mean. But yeah, man, thank you for your time.
Ilya,
What was your? Go ahead.
I appreciate you. And Ilya, before you go, like I'm just going back to your definition here. If we strike that last sentence, a man being someone who represents themselves psychologically in behavior and appearance as a man, that's damn close to what and what you've described there in that definition, that is a social construct, not a biological one. And so, like, I think you agree with us more than you might recognize. Like, because that definition, if we strike out the and genetically part, like that's, you've described a social construct, and you are very close to the actual definition that I would give of man or woman. So just considering the fact that if you ask me what a male is, I would then talk about genetics and hormones and anatomy and gametes and all these other things. But if you ask me what a man is, I would say something very similar to this. I would say it's someone who aligns their gender identity with the social and maybe physical conditions that they associate with masculinity. That's almost identical to your definition. And that is describing a social construct that is distinct from biology. Whereas a biological construct of sex would be things like hormones, hormones, gametes, genes, chromosomes, all that other stuff. So I think you agree with us a bit more than you're letting on. And I encourage you to think about this call and call me on one of the other shows that I do next time you see me and ask me more questions if you have them, because I think we're actually approaching some common ground here.
Definitely. I want to thank you for the time that you gave me. Your name is Jovan, if I'm not mistaken.
I was muted.
Jovan
You've
is
been
the
talking
other
to
host.
Forrest. I'm Jovan, the black
Okay, no worries. Okay, yeah, I just want to thank both of you guys for the time, and really appreciate the answer.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Yeah,
you've been really, really cool, and you've been really nice to talk to, and you've been great at listening and asking good questions. So I appreciate the call too, man.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you so much for the time.
Later.
Have a good one.
All right.
One thing that we didn't talk about in there that it wouldn't have been productive to harp on, but just I wanted to throw out there, he talked several times about gender affirming care being cosmetic. It's not. It is life-saving medical care. But that was a conversation for another time. I just want to make sure we didn't leave the clip without that, because somebody could watch this and think that we let that slide, and it was just for the sake of the conversation.
W Forrest, right? W Forrest. While you were in the...
Sorry, I took over that whole call. I apologize.
It's fine, because I was looking at tickets for Halloween Horror Nights. Trying to determine which ones I wanted, which ticket I want to do. But
where is that? Is that at Universal Studios? Is that one?
Yeah, they have a Five Nights at Freddy's house this year. Yeah. So, my boy,
I would love to go.
Freddy Fazbear.
All
right, let's go through the super chats real quick. First of all, W to Yemye for the $100 tip over on Twitch. That puts Twitch almost halfway to their goal for merch giveaways. So W to Yemye. And then we'll go through the YouTube super chat. So first up is William Mates said cheese. I don't understand, but I support.
Hey, cheese, Hell yeah.
From Casentin, God, I'm so bad at these. Can y'all start spelling your names phonetically? Casentinx 1339 said, from a trans man, thanks for everything you do. No problem, friend.
Thanks for being here.
Valkyrie said, Grr, merch website won't accept my card for the Abolish t-shirt. Have this instead. That sucks. I love the Abolish t-shirts. Abolish police and prisons, available in the merch store. Sedalis said, you live in Tulsa, Forrest.
Say to the person, I do, to the person in the YouTube chat who says gender is based on genetics, we covered it in the call why it isn't, but hey, there's a number on the screen and the line's going to be open soon. You should call and talk to me about it. I'd love to hear it.
They said you live in Tulsa, Forest. It's so reassuring to know there are other leftists around these parts in this hellscape. That is okay. You do meetups? Question mark.
I do not. But you might catch me strolling around the center of the universe sometime.
And then again from Williams and Jovan Forrest, what would your fursona be? I don't know.
I don't know.
Sonic.
Is it just it? See, I don't know enough about furries to answer this appropriately. Would it just be my favorite animal, or would it be like something that I feel like represents me as a person? Because both of those is going to be stupid. You know what I mean?
Mine would be Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's cool.
Actually, I like Shadow the Hedgehog.
Tamanduas. I really like Tamanduas. And I feel like that would be cool. But I also really like invertebrates too. So I don't know. But then again, is that the case? Am I just talking about my favorite animal that I want to look like?
I don't know enough about.
I don't know
enough about furries to answer that.
Somebody in your Twitch chat says Forrest would be a ferret, and like that's cool as shit. I love ferrets. I definitely could identify with being a ferret, but like I don't know if that really represents me as a whole person or just as a squirrely little guy. Do ferrets do biology? Are they good at math?
Squirrely little guy. All right, let's see what we got here. Hello, are you here to debate?
Yes, I am. How's it going, guys?
Chilling, we're chilling. Can I get your name, age, and pronouns, please?
Yeah. My name is Chips. I am 20 years old, and my pronouns are he, him. I'm a male.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
And what topic are you calling to debate about today?
So I wanted to touch on a few, but I guess the more specific one I'm looking at right now to start off is gender-affirming care for minors. I wanted to ask a few questions about that for you guys.
Yep, no problem. Gender-affirming care, got it. Great. You said your name was Chips, right?
Yeah, Chips.
Okay, Chips and ice cream.
food.
Chips, what questions did you have for us?
So I wanted to ask, when you say minors, can you specify minors? Because there's different categories. Like obviously there's the elementary kids and middle schoolers, and then there's
anybody under the
age of 18.
Yeah. If they're under the age of 18, I would classify them as a minor. Before we get too far into the call, I just want everybody to know I did hear thunder. If the stream cuts out, it's because you all know how my house handles storms.
It's because Jovan couldn't handle the conversation and ran away. Right. That's what it was.
I like that answer. I like that answer for me.
But yeah, it would just be anybody under the age of 18.
All right, sounds good. So I just want to ask. Earlier in the previous debate, you said that gender-affirming care is not just emotional kind of psychology kind of affirmation, but it's also physical and hormonal, right?
Yeah, there's medical affirming care.
It can be, yeah.
Right. So I just wanted to ask, right, because I have my own opinions on the topic, obviously, right? I'm a human being. 8-year-olds to 10-year-olds to 12-year-olds, right? So say they hear a lot of things about gender stuff online. Obviously, kids being kids, they soak up all information. They hear a bunch of things. I'm not trying to say that they're dumb, but kids, they soak up information and they can do questionable things and they can believe things that may or may not be true later in their life. I just want to ask, right? Obviously, I believe people above the age of 15 to 16 probably have their heads screwed on a bit more tightly. I just wanted to ask, for people of the lower age range, what do you think the gender affirmation extent should be?
I don't really have
You want to answer first, or you want me to?
Yeah, I don't really have a hard line. I think it needs to be individualized. I think placing a hard line gets us into some weird areas where we're saying that certain care is okay for some people and not for others. The only thing that I would say probably should wait till you're older is any type of surgical intervention. Half of that is because you need to develop past a certain point to even get those surgeries effectively. The other half is I just think it's probably best to wait until, for me, I would say 15 would be the starting age for any sort of top surgery, and then I would say 17, 18 would be the starting age for any sort of bottom surgery. When it comes to hormonal, HRT or pubertal suppressants, whatever age you need them.
All right.
Yeah,
so,
for me,
I
it's
can agree
slightly.
with that.
For me, it's just really important to point out that because you haven't done this, but in conversations like this, and guarantee in the comment section under this video, a lot of people will talk about gender affirming care for minors, and they will jump to those extremes and be like, "Oh my God, you're talking about this doctor just with a pair of hedge clippers lopping off the dick of every kid who comes in thinking they might be a girl." You know what I mean? And it's just what's really important is that, like, when we're talking about this, what's really important is when we're talking about like gender affirming care for minors, we are talking about like widely accepted clinical guidelines that are a very careful, regimented, staged process that allow these people, these young kids, to explore their gender identity, explore their gender expression, explore their lives, and learn more about the gender that they are, while also keeping their options open for as long as possible. And so this is something that would take a very long time. It's not something that you can just decide, "Oh my God, I think I'm a girl today. Shot me up, doc." It's nothing like that. This is something that would be like closely monitored by a therapist and doctor and family member for a long period of time. And what's important to remember about it is this isn't even just an idea about this. Studies consistently demonstrate that, like, providing gender affirming care that is both age appropriate and also evidence based, which is what Jovan and I are advocating for here. As far as I know, he's advocating for. I definitely am. That actually does improve overall long-term mental health outcomes. And so we're just talking about age appropriate, staged, regimented, highly monitored, long-term gender affirming care that keeps their options open while allowing them to explore themselves and learn more about themselves, in order to avoid, like you were talking about, the risk of a kid making a decision that they regret later, which kids do. You know what I mean? So that's a reasonable worry to have. And that's why, every major medical association in this country still recognizes how important gender affirming care is and why it works and how it works. It's because they have these staged, careful, regimented, monitored processes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. I think you're one of like the first people I've talked to who've actually brought up the fact that it needs to be careful. Because I've talked to a lot of people about that topic, and a lot of the time they just they kind of gloss over the fact that it needs to be a very watched, very careful thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and I don't know of any. I am friends with plenty of doctors. I don't know a single one of them that would disagree with that.
All right. Well, that's good. I guess, do you have any questions for me on that topic before I move on to the next?
I think we all pretty much agree on that. Do you disagree that gender affirming care is a good thing, or like?
I think it's good. I think there's a point at which it might be too young, and it's mostly just the factor of human issue, the human factor of that equation in regards to the adults handling the children. That's my only concern, but I think that's a concern that I can't justify because any program that does gender affirming care, at the very least, hasn't been brought to my attention with the with like how it actually has operated IRL. I have not seen how it works. I've not seen the effects of a dedicated, broad, large-scale, gender-affirming, like, I forgot what it's called, the situation. That. I don't think I have...
Okay, well, it sounds like we are either on the same page or pretty damn close to the same page. So I have no further questions for you if you want to move on to the next thing, and we can try to find something we really disagree about.
So I wanted to ask about, you said that you can choose like a free choice at 9 months. I'm assuming that is referring to abortion?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so I personally would like to come out and say I personally agree with abortion for, like, I'd say up to like 6 months, 5 months, right? But I think, personally speaking, I think when you get to a point to where you could legitimately, like, C-section and have the baby come out alive, I think, like, obviously on life support, because it's probably going to be early, but I think at that point, then I feel like the water gets a bit muddled. Can you explain to me why you think that something that is, like, at the point of, like, gestation, like the baby's already made, it's just making some final growth moments, I guess you could say, why you think it would be okay to just kill it?
Who said we're killing it?
Well, and that's what I see. That's whenever I hear anything about abortion, it's generally involved with the termination of the baby.
So I just defined abortion differently. So abortion, the way I would define abortion is just the medical expulsion of the contents of pregnancy from the womb. So abortions can be done post 24 weeks and still keep the fetus alive. For instance, we can take things like hysterectomy abortions or induction abortions and just do those.
All right.
I don't personally refer to abortion as like simply killing. I don't think that actually really, I don't think that definition is functional enough for like all that can be done. So after a certain time, we can still have abortions and they just don't kill the fetus.
All right. So just a quick question. Would you consider a C-section to be an abortion by technicality?
Well, a hysterectomy abortion is like essentially a C-section. Some people consider C-sections abortion. Probably not. I probably wouldn't consider it a quote-unquote abortion. For me, I would say that abortions typically should be done like prior to like natural pregnancy kicking in. Or no, I'm sorry, natural delivery kicking in. But like I'm not gonna like argue with people that say it is. I'm not gonna be like, oh no, you can't label this. Like if you want to label an abortion, it's fine with me. It doesn't really bother me in any way.
All right.
Yeah, I would just use the terminology that abortion is just the termination of the termination of a pregnancy is an abortion, and so like that's all that is, and so that's why a miscarriage is also called in medical term a spontaneous abortion. So like anything that terminates a pregnancy is an abortion.
All right, sounds good. I wanted to ask, what happens to the aborted child if they are still physically capable of functioning once they are aborted?
What do you mean?
So you said, right, that because you insinuated that an abortion doesn't inherently mean the death of the child.
Yes.
Now that would infer that the child, or a baby, whatever, fetus thing, is still alive, right, and is somehow cared for after it. Otherwise, it would just be dead anyway.
Yeah, if it's alive and the parents don't want it, probably just go to the state. Same thing that would happen in a delivery if parents don't want it.
All right, just trying to. So, I don't know about the topic past. What's up?
You're fine. I would ask you a similar question that you asked Jovan a second ago. You asked like, what do you consider a C-section an abortion? I would just for clarity, just to understand, an induction abortion is when you have something. This person's in the third trimester. You're close to the end here, and there's a medical issue, and you need to terminate this pregnancy, and so you use drugs to cause this person to go into labor and to deliver this fetus. And that is a form of abortion. Do you consider that giving birth, having a child, or would you still consider that an abortion? Because it is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that is an interesting question because you are inherently, it's going down the vaginal canal. So in all forms of like, what is the definition of giving birth? Technically, it would be it. You just kind of forced it on early, but I would also still categorize it under an abortion because it is likely to result. I don't know. I think I'd call it, personally speaking.
The point.
What's up?
No, I apologize. I didn't mean to cut you off. You're at the end. Please finish.
No, I personally view that as a birth, like it is them giving birth, even though it is forced and early. Does that change the context of why they did it? I don't think so. I think it's, still a medical emergency that they forced labor to happen in order to give birth early in order to save the mother's life or vice versa. I think it's
and so that's
giving
what
birth.
I'm talking about here is that like that you have that, or you have like dilation and extraction, which is going to be a bit more, you're actually pulling out, sometimes pieces of this fetus, what I mean? And so like there's
pieces
differences here. Yeah, there's America's favorite candy. There's differences here, but what I'm trying to get across to you is just like when we're using these terms, the fact that an abortion is any termination of a pregnancy and birth is pooping out a baby, or maybe not. Maybe you actually have a cesarean section, have it removed that way. And there's all this variation. It's just really important to remember that these terms are a little fuzzy. And I'm trying to really hammer out what the actual concern is for you. And it sounds like the actual concern isn't the termination of pregnancy, it's the termination of fetal life. Is that fair to say?
Yes, I think my main concern is specifically once you're in the third trimester and a bit like I'd say mid-stage. My main concern is if the baby is alive. My concern is I personally don't really trust government-funded things a lot. Anti-government, yay, classic American culture thing. But I don't think that putting children in the care of state is a good thing, but I think that's a different issue, and I think I'm maybe going off topic in regards to that.
That would just be another topic.
Yeah,
like we can say that needs to be.
We can touch on
is my concern. Sorry.
Yeah, we can touch on it, but I don't know if it's useful for right now. But we can get to it. I don't want to dodge it. If we get there, we get there.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Basically,
so
my main. Sorry.
Can I ask? No, I was going to ask you some clarifying questions and see if we can maybe come to an understanding about the termination of life specifically. You're talking about after 6 months, we're in the very end of pregnancy. What are we doing here? And this person no longer wants to be pregnant for whatever reason. Say there's a medical issue with the baby that they can't keep it anymore. Say they have a medical issue that being pregnant now puts their life at risk. Say they just literally woke up one day and were like, I don't fucking like this. And I bought a crib and I've picked out a name, but fuck it now. You know what I mean? Whatever the from the most mundane to the most hyperbolic, whatever reason this person decides they don't want to be pregnant anymore. And so we're talking about now the termination of life for this fetus. That's what we're focusing on. Can I ask you some questions about that to help understand where you're coming from with that? And maybe we can come to an agreement. So we can agree, I'm assuming, that this pregnant person is sustaining the life of this fetus through their pregnancy, right? Through their body.
Yeah, of course.
My question would be, my mom has the same blood type as me. I am 33 years old, and if today I had a major problem with my blood or my kidneys or something like that, and I needed a transfusion, I needed dialysis, I needed whatever, I could theoretically go stab a tube into her arm, put it into my arm, and filter her blood into my body because we're the same blood type, and I could use her body to sustain my life right now as a 33-year-old man. The question is, does she have the right to pull that tube out of her arm and say, you don't fucking get to do this to me? Even if it ends up in me dying, she has the choice to detach me from her as a 33-year-old man. Do you agree with that?
I think at that point in age, yes.
Okay, great. So my question to you then is, what special rights does someone have before they are born that they don't have, that they lose as soon as they are born?
So I think once you hit the age of, I'd say around 18 to 21, you would lose kind of that child thing. I'm pushing the number up from 18 simply because a lot of people in general are kind of, that's a whole different question, but it's kind of like people are living with their parents a lot longer, whatever. They're still kind of infantile, I guess is the way to put it. They're still dependent, to put it that way. I would ask that, what's it called? I think once you hit 18 to 21, I think at that point, the mother and the father are no longer responsible for the child, right? The child, obviously they can start talking with the kid and whatnot about what.
So let me just
whatever.
So hold on a second. Sorry, we're getting off. We're getting off from where the point is here.
You're right.
So then take the exact same question I just asked you. No, you're fine. You're fine. Take the exact same question that I just asked you and change the number from 33 to 15. Here's a 15-year-old kid, and they have a kidney problem, and they stick a tube into their mom's arm and stick another tube into their arm, and they're filtering their blood. Does that mom have the right to take the tube out and say, you don't fucking get my blood by birth? You don't have a right over my body as a 15-year-old child, even if that results in the death of that child. Does that mother have the right to not use her body to sustain that 15-year-old?
I think that is a loaded question, but I personally am of the opinion right now that she has the necessary requirement to care for a child that she birthed and brought into the world up until, he hits adulthood. I personally am of the opinion that she does not have the right to reject it because
Wait, you don't think, just really quickly, Chips, you don't think parents can, you think parents have this obligation, but you don't think that they have the ability to transfer that obligation to somebody else?
I think it depends on the situation, obviously. If we're just talking, you need your mother, or else, the kid's just fucked, right? There's no helping, saving the kid. The mother is the only option right now, or else the kid will die. I think in that situation, the mother should, in all circumstances, help the kid.
So then, wait,
that's not what I'm asking. Sorry,
Right.
I'm not asking about you. You keep talking about like taking care of this kid. I'm not talking about feeding it. Right? I understand like the mother has a legal and moral obligation to provide for the child as long as she can, unless she's giving it to somebody else for adoption, whatever. That notwithstanding, like yes, feed the kid, bathe the kid, clothe the kid, educate the kid. Sure, all of those things. I'm talking about literally sacrificing part of her body, giving them an organ, giving them blood. If their kid needs a liver transplant, is that mother required to give them her liver? If just assume, I know it's a ridiculous hypothetical, but like I'm trying to get to the heart of the matter here. This kid is 15 years old. You got a middle school kid here. Do you have to give them a blood transfusion if they need one? Or are you not morally obligated to give them your body to sustain them?
To avoid inflating my answers like I have been previously, yes, I do believe that she has the moral obligation. She has to. I do not believe she has the right to reject.
Okay,
at that age?
What about the dad? What if the dad was compatible, the mom wasn't?
Yes, either one of the parents have to. That is my belief. It doesn't have to be a mother.
Okay.
Just anyone.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm glad we cleared that up because that completely changes everything. So you're not saying that there are special rights for fetuses. You are completely against the concept of not completely against, that's straw manning. You have the fundamental disagreement we're having is with bodily autonomy until your child is of a certain age. That's what the question is.
I think so, yes.
So wait, just because maybe I'm confused about what you said earlier, then you're not for any abortions.
I am for abortion. I think people who don't want children should not be having children. They probably won't be good parents. They are probably not going, just in general, it's likely not going to be a good childhood. And this is a bit fucked up to say, but I think there's enough people on the planet. I don't think we just need to bring in more for the sake of saying that life is in jeopardy.
So you're
in regards to
wait. So bodily autonomy is okay if it kills your child, but it's not okay before now you need to explain your stance here, because you in the same breath you're saying that like a parent shouldn't be allowed bodily autonomy if that autonomy kills their kid, and now you're saying it's
okay. So you brought up, right, in the arguments earlier, right, you brought up 30-year-old, right, and then a 15-year-old, both of which are people, right, that like they've already gained whatever, they've lived life, the 15-year-old still has a lot of life to live. They haven't even experienced what life is at that point. So I think that person has a future, but if you have like a 5-month fetus, right, it's like not even like a conscious being. I think at that point it's completely fine. But what I'm trying to say is specifically for the latter trimester, right, the third, in the latter half of it, right, what's it called?
I get what you're saying. Can you just justify to me why that parent has that obligation now after this point? Like what changes that grants them this obligation that they now have to hold from that until 18?
The kid can survive outside of the womb. I think that is the factor I am looking at.
Sure, but that's part of the question. That's part of the question that was at. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Forrest.
No, I apologize. I think we're asking the same question. Something you said stuck out to me. You said, "Well, that kid they have a future. If they're, if you're talking about a 15-year-old kid, the reason why the mother has no bodily autonomy here and has to give this kid an organ transplant, a blood transfusion, whatever, even at age 15, is because they have a future. What about the mother's future? What if someone is having a baby and they're pregnant and they are a minor themselves? Like, what about their future? Does that not matter? Do they not get a say in that because they're pregnant?
So a minor who got pregnant is probably going to want an abortion, and they're probably going to get it early. However, if for some reason, I think that's
let's say you have someone is 15 years old, they get pregnant, and then in third trimester, like you're talking about, the baby can survive, and they want an abortion. Whose future is most important here? Whose future do we prioritize?
I think that is a specific question that while it is an extreme case, because that is extremely young to have had a child and then to have kept it all the way up to third trimester and then finally choosing to not keep it.
It's young, but it's not unheard of.
Especially in states that don't allow, especially for states that don't allow abortion for any reason, like Texas.
I don't know if I feel comfortable answering that, because I think that is inherently a very emotional question.
Why?
Personally, it's just a logic test.
Yeah, this is the issue that I'm having, Chip.
Specifically about what's up?
I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep cutting you off. I'm just trying to keep on the point here because we've been going for 25 minutes. The reason why I understand these are very extreme, hypothetical, kind of, some of the things I'm giving you are pretty fantastical here, right? The reason why I'm giving these to you is just as kind of to stress test where your actual line is here, because my line is consistent across the board. Bodily autonomy, period. If you don't want to be pregnant, don't be pregnant, period. That's it. And so every single one of these situations, my answer is exactly the same. And it sounds like for you, you're having to create some rather arbitrary rules and distinctions about it's somewhere between 18 to 21, because it really depends on how emotionally mature and mentally mature they are, and if they can sustain themselves beyond their parents. And kids are staying at home now, and at the end of the day, you do have a moral obligation, but only at a certain point because they have a future. But if we're talking about the mother's future, then it seems more emotional, and it sounds like you have a bunch of couches and caveats here, as opposed to a single declarative moral stance that you can apply universally.
I will admit that I see it more as a fluid than like a fluid type of situation than a pure this is the rules and then we're going to stick to the rules purely. I think there are I think there are things that don't apply. What's it called when something doesn't apply to the majority of cases? It's the exception. There it is. Sorry. I think there are exceptions that do need to have special rules applied to them. Like, for example, the 15-year-old, I think that they should probably have the abortion, just in general.
I want to just point out, I'm not really even worried about the abortion stance. I'm more interested in targeting on you think that somebody shouldn't be able to put their kid up for adoption and stuff, and that's the stance that's actually the stance you have of I don't think a parent should be able to give up their obligation to their child until the child's 18. I'm more interested in that because it seems like your abortion stance is pretty much in alignment with mine, where prior to 24 weeks, lethal abortions all day, who cares? After 24 weeks, do abortions that prioritize the life of the fetus, unless medically you can't. It's just weird to me that then you have this line of parents have to stay obligated to their kids 100% all the time, and they can't remove that obligation after the child's born.
So I am kind of a hardliner for strong parenthood. I personally think that if you have a kid, this is not something that this is a decision that you make. You are bringing an entirely new life into this world. This person entirely depends on you, like literally just like in every way, in terms of nurture, nature, just everything. You are bringing a living person, a living, breathing person with like a potential future and like effects on the world and other like things and experiences. You are bringing such a huge thing into the world, and I think that is a devotion to this life that you have to take by having a child. So that is why I'm saying that.
No.
It sounds to me like you're making this. I'm sorry. It sounds to me like that's a very like weirdly utilitarian, like the longest life years possible type thing. Because like at the end of the day, we're talking about, well, what about the mother's future? And that was a completely different concept for you that you weren't interested in touching on. But you have this hard line of like, well, if you're going to be pregnant, you need to have the fucking kid. Because that child has all this potential and all this. It sounds like you're just deciding to prioritize the youngest person in all cases, even if that person hasn't even been born yet. They have the most potential life, therefore they are the one who takes priority in terms of like rights and bodily autonomy.
So what I specifically said was emotionally questionable was specifically the age. It was not the status of them being a mother, because I did not specifically refer to the idea of the mother having it. I specifically referred to the fact that the exact type of question is something that a lot of people have very strong emotions on, because there's a lot of people who have been SA'd to have that child. There's a lot of people who've made, I think it's a very, like the specific requirements for there to be an underage minor pregnancy, that in and of itself is the emotional factor, not the fact that she is the mother.
Okay,
that is why I did not feel comfortable.
Okay, well, I do, Chips. We do have to end the conversation there. Somebody did pay to move on.
All right, sounds good.
But yeah, I guess it's been a good conversation.
All right, cool.
I think like Chips, I would encourage you just to like dig in a little bit more and trying to find like actual concrete lines, because it sounds to me like you are drawing like kind of like I don't want to delude your argument and say that's just feel good things, but it sounds like you're kind of taking this very case by case basis that really makes it arbitrary. And whether or not you have a good moral ground here, making it an arbitrary thing rather than like a universal thing, that to me just doesn't resonate. So I would love to talk to you some more about it, and maybe we can find more common ground.
Sounds good. You guys have a good day.
You too.
Thanks, Chips. Have a good day, Chips. You know what I think is really important about that call?
I'm so interested in that parents can't put their kids up for adoption thing. Yeah, go ahead.
It was a wild thing to say. A lot of Chips' claims were wild, but like I think the most important thing about that I'm really proud of is that it was 3 dudes. I think that's the key. The fact that we had 3 dudes here talking about abortion, I think that's really how the discourse needs to go and what is really most important to focus on. We're really making progress, y'all.
I do want to say, I think that there can be a case made that like parents ought not give up their kids. Like you can make this claim that like it is dependent upon the situation. Like it is best to not put your kids up for adoption. But the claim that they like never should, like to claim that like they have an obligation never to, is the one that was a little odd to me. We got some super chats, guys. From Cotty. Cotty said, "You can have as many personas as you want, Forrest." Oh,
hey, hell yeah!
So inclusive.
Thanks.
Zoe says
send
trans
them to
rights.
P.O. Box 1810, Broken Arrow, Oklahoma 74013. Send your personas.
Zoe said, a question for Forrest. Do you have any book recommendations that can be served as an introduction to evolution and biology?
Yeah, I got plenty of them. I got 2 great book recommendations from terrible fucking authors. I would recommend these 2 right here, pretty solid. To start off with, we got Jerry Coyne and Richard Dawkins, y'all. So Jerry Coyne's Why Evolution is True is a great introductory book for lots of people that a lot of people love. Also, fuck Jerry Coyne. And then we also got Richard Dawkins, The Greatest Show on Earth. Great compendium about like just evidence for evolution. Also, fuck Richard Dawkins. And so like just really, really good books, genuinely good books from people that I looked up to for years and years before they decided that science wasn't as important as their cultural feelings. It's a great time.
Next from the Fuzzy Logic said 34 states still have child marriage laws. Republicans fight every attempt to repeal because of purity culture and shotgun weddings to fulfill biblical morality. Oof. Read. And then Megan Mueller said, Chips, listen to women on this topic. It's not your topic. And this was the pay to kick from Megan. So thank you, Megan. That puts YouTube is so close to winning a giveaway. Twitch is honestly not that far. YouTube's at 126. Twitch is at 106. So we might be giving away some merch today. If you guys wanted to do a merch giveaway, you know what to do. Let's get the call-in line back open for anybody. I would love if somebody wants to talk about, I would love a call on number 3. Number 3 would be so fun for me. That's all I'm saying. I am glad Forrest is here because I have a massive migraine and he's helping.
Oh, I thought you were just lazy. I also want to throw out.
What, because I'm black?
This was it's because you're a Twitch streamer. This is my evolution textbook from my undergrad. This is another one that's pretty good that I've taught out of a couple of times. You can pick that guy up. And this is another one that I just picked up recently because I'm using it for grad school right now. So there are some textbooks for you if you want textbooks, because I'm one of those. I fucking love a good textbook. Especially you can go on YouTube, or not to fuck. You can go on Amazon. Pick up one that's like one edition out of date. All they do is like change 2 chapters around and just get some practical understanding. Pick up an undergrad evolution textbook. It's easy to do.
Band Geek, thank you for the $10 tip on Twitch. Hello, are you here to debate? Person on the call.
Yes, I am.
Okay, what's your name, age, and pronouns, please?
I'm Jeff, 32, he, him.
Jeff, 32, he, him. Jeff, what topic on the board are you calling to debate about?
I would like to debate abortion.
Abortion again. 3 dudes. Yeah.
Is this LA? Is this LA?
No, this is not LA.
Okay, you sound like LA. Okay, that's fine. I'm just making sure.
Who's LA?
LA has called me like 20
times
times about abortion, and every time, like, he keeps calling in. He'll adjust his argument slightly and then call in later to debate about it. Anyway, Jeff, me and Forrest are both pro-choice. Are you pro-life?
I am pro-life morally, yes.
Pro-life morally, okay. And why?
Okay. Because all humans should have the right to life, and abortion denies the unborn that right.
Sure. Why should all humans have the right to life?
Because otherwise there's no reason any of us couldn't make an argument to be alive. Anyone can just kill us at any moment, and that'll be the end of it.
So without the right to life, you believe that we can't make an argument that we should be alive without this specific right?
Yeah, not morally. Yeah.
Okay. Where does the right to life come from?
We make it up as humans.
Okay. Based. Okay. Is the right to life a positive or a negative right?
I disagree with those distinctions.
This is fucking LA.
I'm not LA.
You absolutely are LA.
No, I'm not.
I have so many questions already just from like where we're coming from here. This is already
you go ahead for us. I'm about
claim.
to go find my last video with LA, and I'm comparing and contrasting these goddamn voices right now.
Okay. I'm curious to know. Okay, so all humans deserve a right to life. That's fine. What about the life of the mother?
No, yeah, she deserves the right to life as well.
Okay, so what if having this child is going to fundamentally alter or end her life?
Is the womb added to the baby?
Well, that's just a consequence of having sex.
Okay, so that's a completely different argument. I'm talking about here's this person, they're pregnant, and if they have this baby, it's going to kill them, right? It is a medical emergency. They are going to die if they have this baby. The baby will live. does the baby's right to life outweigh the mother's right to life in this scenario? And if so, why?
In this scenario, no. So in this scenario, you have two innocent actors. And when you have two innocent actors in a situation where, you know, someone has to take the L, then that's an amoral situation. I wouldn't obligate the mother to do anything either way. It just so happens to be that she is in the position to, you know.
Wait, can we go back to that doesn't agree with positive or negative rights thing? Because I don't understand how you can. That's just like a fundamental.
No, God damn it! No, that was a really important breakthrough we just had.
Okay.
You son of a bitch! That was important.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. Is that so? You are pro-choice then in that respect? You think that abortion is okay if the mother's life is in danger?
Yeah, in that situation. Yeah.
Okay, great. So now I have further questions, but now that we have established that, I guess Jovan on his own show can talk about what he wants.
I just want to know how you disagree with positive or negative rights. Like rights can only be one of these two things.
No. So by positive and negative right, you mean duties that are imposed on other people, right?
Yes, and that is two sides of a binary thing. Either duties are imposed or duties are not imposed.
So yeah, that's where I disagree. That the distinction is meaningless to me because no matter what right we're talking about, there are going to be instances where someone has a duty, and there's going to be instances where someone does not have a duty. So trying to shoehorn all rights into one of these categories makes no sense.
You are both saying the word duty a lot. And I would just like to posit that maybe we can change the word to obligation or something because I'm losing it over here. I'm 5 and I can't handle it is the problem.
So sure, I'll change an obligation to make sure that you don't giggle for us. So speaking about duties, so I'm just confused. What other instance is the right to life besides in the term of pregnancy? What other instance would you say that it's a positive right?
You said as far as pregnancy, we're talking about the right to life, right?
Yeah, I said other than pregnancy because I'm going to assume that you would say pregnancy, it's a positive right. What other instance would it be positive?
Well,
Soren donated
again, I don't
$5.
like the whole positive and negative. It's all about the obligation, right? So,
but that's what
as far as the right to life, to respect someone's right to life as they walk on the other side of the street, I simply have to not pull out a gun and shoot them, right?
Yeah, that means it imposes there is no obligation imposed to you there.
Yeah, right.
But
if I'm driving down the street in a car and I haven't adjusted my wheel in the past second
we have had this conversation before. I don't know, you're not LA, but me and you have had this conversation before. No, that is not entailing a duty.
Okay, hold on. Well, let me finish. Right. So
sorry, Forrest, an obligation.
If I don't adjust my wheel, then I will remain on this collision course with a pedestrian. So in that situation where I'm driving down the street and I'm in a collision course with a pedestrian, would you not morally obligate me to adjust my wheel?
Because you're already doing an action. The action is driving.
But can you answer the question?
I am answering the question. You are already currently doing an action. You're driving. That's the action.
No, that's not answering the question. Would you morally obligate me to adjust the wheel? That's the question.
Yes, to change your course because you're committing an action that is going to kill them. You're already doing an action.
That's a duty. Right.
No, that's not. That's telling you to stop doing. Yes. No, that's telling you to stop doing this action that you're already currently doing.
But
You're
if
already doing. If I'm
that means I have
choking
to do
somebody
something,
out,
right? I have to do
me.
something,
Wait,
right?
wait, wait. If I'm choking somebody out, me stopping choking them is not me being obligated to doing something because the action of choking them out is what's killing them. So your driving is an action, whether you've adjusted the steering wheel or not.
So how
the
do
action
you
of
stop? How do you stop?
Oh, there's no
How
way.
do I stop?
There's
How
no
do I
way.
stop
The
driving
action of
into collision
driving
course with the
is the action that's the action of driving towards
How do I
somebody
stop? How
is
do I
the
stop that
action. Jesus Christ, dude. The action of driving towards somebody in a manner that will kill them is already you committing the action. So we're telling you to stop committing that action.
How do I stop committing the action?
You have to do something. This isn't saying that you have
I have to do something.
There's no way.
So in order to honor
There's no
someone's
way.
right to life in that situation, I have to do
No, you have to stop doing something. And sometimes in order to
But
stop
how do
doing
I stop doing
this
something?
doesn't make it a positive right, my G.
No, I'm not. Dude, why'd you go all the way back to that level?
That's what we're talking about.
The obligation. You say
There's
it's an
no
obligation
way.
on somebody else, or an obligation that's not on somebody else.
Your
So in that
obligation is to
situation,
stop
you
doing the
gave me an
action that would kill
obligation
them.
To stop doing something.
Your obligation is to stop doing the action that would kill them.
And how do I stop doing it?
Holy motherfucking shit. There's no way.
How do I stop doing the action,
There's
Jovan?
no way. There's no way. There can't be. There's no way.
Tell me how I stop
Okay.
doing the action.
Just you by engaging in something that changes you from doing that action.
Oh, okay, yeah, there you go. Engaging.
By
That's the
by
word.
this
I
by this
have a
logic,
duty to
literally
engage,
every
just
no,
like you said.
Oh my good
So that's
God.
why I completely reject the positive, negative.
You no, because you don't understand them. You are already doing something that will kill them. You're already violating
you're
their
just trying
rights.
to jump back and forth.
No,
No,
we're
Jovan,
not
you're just trying to
jumping
jump back and
anywhere.
forth.
This is the same conversation. It's a conversation about positive or negative rights and whether they
No, I'm
exist.
talking about the
and
logic
your
you're
claim,
jumping to.
the logic isn't jumping
You
anywhere.
said the duty is for
Jesus
obligation.
Christ. On a stick.
I
You
think
said
what's
it's
more
obligation,
important
no.
is how many times we can say the word duty
There's
in this
no
very serious
way.
conversation between three dudes talking about abortion.
There is no way. Wait. I just want to confirm something.
I have
Oh no,
when
you
you're
go
done,
ahead
I have a
for it.
totally different line of questions. Take,
Yeah,
take
yeah,
your time because
I-
it's your show. But when you're done, so I will let you know. I'm not trying to be rude and derail entirely. I have entirely everything when you are ready.
What's so frustrating in this conversation is you're saying, hey, I'm currently in the process of killing someone. So if I do something if I change my course of action and I now don't kill them, that means their right to life is positive. Even though the positive right to life, what that would mean is that you don't engage in an action that kills them in the first place.
I don't engage in the action that kills them in the first place. So I can never drive.
Into people. You
There's
can
no
never
way.
drive into.
There's no way.
But driving creates the situation
listen,
where I will kill people if I don't do something. So how can you say
I feel like
it's a
actually we.
positive right?
I feel like actually this overlaps a little bit. Hold on, this
Go ahead,
overlaps with
Forrest.
something you were saying earlier.
You go ahead.
No, I feel like we can get something here. Because I'm not a philosophy bro like Jovan that can talk about the positive versus negative. Right? I'm trying to be practical with it, and I think this actually overlaps. You're saying, okay, so I guess I can just never drive, right? And that kind of lines up with what you said earlier when I talked about, okay, so what about the rights of the mother? And you said, well, she consented to having sex. Consenting to having sex is not the same thing as consenting to get pregnant. Consenting to driving is not the same thing as consenting to get into a traffic accident or running somebody over. You are understanding that those are risks at play, but you are deliberately, probably, in the case of driving, definitely, doing everything possible to avoid that situation and mitigate that risk as much as possible. So if somebody gets into a traffic accident and they're laying there bleeding on the road, I don't come up to them and say, hey, you consented to driving, didn't you? You made your bed, now lie in it, right? I would then give them the medical care that they need and try to help that person. Similarly, if somebody consents to having sex and they get pregnant for whatever reason, and they're like, yo, I don't want this to happen, I'm not going to tell them, well, you took the risk. That doesn't make any sense. So in this case, it's not that you just can't ever drive. You can't drive into people. You can't then take someone else's rights away and infringe on their life deliberately and hurt them. Similarly, it's not just every time you have sex, you're accepting that you can have an abortion, you have a baby. You can choose to do sex responsibly and safely and intentionally with a deliberate outcome in mind. And if things go wrong, you can choose to try to rectify that situation and make it better. Do you understand the connection here that I'm trying to get to?
I see the connection. I think it's disanalogous, though.
How? What's the disconnect?
So the disconnect is for pregnancy. Well, I would say, honestly, it does kind of match up because, like you said, in both cases, there's a risk. But in the case with, well, yeah, in both cases, there's a risk. But with the driving case, once you hit someone, you took the risk, the bad thing has happened, and now there's responsibility and accountability, right? So,
right,
the accident,
right, and if you get pregnant,
but
if you get pregnant, there's responsibility and accountability too, right?
Well, in the unexpected pregnancy situation, that also turns into, okay, well, you did get pregnant, right? And so now, just like with the accident, now, yeah, you tried your best, but unfortunately, it didn't work out. And so now the consequences and the accountability comes. So just like you would say for the driver, oh, you messed up driving, and so now the consequences are here. Same thing with the mother. You messed up. You weren't careful enough having sex. Maybe you were always destined to get pregnant, whatever. It's here now. So now you have consequences and responsibility.
Right. The consequence of getting in a car accident is now you are injured. You have a payment to make your insurance. Like, you have to pay somebody's legal fees.
Well,
maybe
no,
there's death involved. Like,
the example was you run into a pedestrian. And if you run into a pedestrian, then you're at fault. And now you have legal consequences to deal with. And so just like with
and that's what I'm saying. The consequence now are insurance payments. The consequence is legal payments. The consequence is this person's hurt. The consequence may be that you're hurt as well. Yes, there are consequences. And the next step is to try to rectify that situation, right? You're not just going to hit and run. You're going to try to make this situation better. And in the case of pregnancy, this is an undesired outcome.
Because it was your responsibility to drive safely.
And I promise you, if you are getting an abortion, it is probably at your expense as well. That shit is physically and emotionally and financially tasking. And so, but you are rectifying an undesired situation.
Yeah, but now you're sharing that expense with someone else as opposed to the car driver.
So now we're getting back
to share his mistakes with someone else.
So now we're getting back to this idea of bodily autonomy, where you are prioritizing the bodily autonomy of someone who is yet to be born over the bodily autonomy of somebody who is currently born and suffering, right? And so that's what I'm trying to get to. What is the bodily autonomy? Why does the bodily autonomy of this fetus outweigh the bodily autonomy of this mother?
It's not outweighed. The mother, just like the car driver, now has a responsibility to the fetus because of her choices. No, she doesn't. She has a responsibility. So it's not that it outweighs, it's that the mother is simply responsible for this situation.
What I'm trying to get across to you, consent doesn't matter in this case. There are plenty of ways you can get pregnant without the choice of having sex, right? Plenty of ways that can happen. So you have consent here as this vapid thing that's like you're trying to prop up as some sort of prophylactic for this thing, and it isn't necessary.
That a woman did not consent to sex or did not consent to whatever means through which she got pregnant, then I would agree with you. Then you fall into, well, no one's innocent, no one's guilty, so whatever happens. Right, I already said that earlier. But
I think the terminology you're using right there,
specifically about situations where the mother consented to sex.
The terminology you just used there, I think, betrays where this argument is actually coming from. Because the words that you chose to use there innocent and guilty. In this case, if you had sex, that you are guilty of having sex and getting pregnant. And that, I think, belies the value statement you're putting on this infant's life over this mother's life before this infant is even born.
I don't think I used the term guilty. I used the term responsible.
You just did. You just did.
Responsible. Well,
and you've done it more than once.
Well, as far as the mother is concerned, what I'm talking about, so we can set the record straight here, I'm saying she's not guilty. She's responsible, right? So I'm setting the record straight right now.
Oh, okay.
She's responsible.
Okay, so now my follow-up question then to you, because we are talking about a hypothetical in which you're making this decision, right? We're talking about your worldview over ours. What right do you have then, if she has lost this right to bodily autonomy because she had sex and is now pregnant? What right do you have, and from where do you derive this right to force her to be pregnant?
Well, it's, as far as like me, it's kind of weird. Well, obviously, as far as other people, it would be like more of a legal place. But if we're talking about morally, then, I mean, anytime you see any person, like if you saw a 6-year-old getting kicked around on the side of the street, whatever, obligation you would feel to run and save them, I mean, it's the same thing that would apply. Anytime it's basically saving.
So you think that the right,
aggressor.
You think the obligation to stop bullying is correlated with or associated with or synonymous with?
No, I know you're going for the
abuse. We can say
sound,
abuse.
but it's not about that.
You think
it's?
No, I'm asking a clarifying question.
Okay,
You're saying that the moral responsibility to intervene in the case of abuse is somehow like similar to or analogous to the right to force someone to be pregnant against their will.
No, let me clarify.
Because that was the question I asked you.
Let me clarify. Because I gave an example, but I mean, you changed it into bullying. It's not really bullying. It's basically you have an innocent person.
Change it to abuse.
Who can't defend themselves. You have an innocent person who can't defend themselves being attacked by an aggressor unjustly, because y'all haven't challenged me on that. So unjustly, and then anybody, let's say there's a woman about to get stabbed to death by a lunatic homeless, well, don't gotta be homeless, but just lunatic person on the street. And somebody.
Shout out to Valkyrie for the pay to boot. And Lime as well. Sorry.
There's a lot of.
I've talked to him before.
So, like, I don't want to read too much into something that people say. I know it's not just like, as an educator looking at that, there were a lot of value statements that I don't think Jeff knew he was making in there that seemed to me, it appeared from my side, I'm not saying this is what happened, but from my perspective, hearing those value statements seemed to belie a position of like, it's like this kind of purity culture, like, well, you had sex, now you deserve this kind of thing. You know what I mean? And that, I think that pulls a lot from that.
Okay, it wasn't LA. I just pulled up the video with LA, and that definitely two different voices. But he definitely, okay. I've talked to him before. And chat, even some people in chat said they remember our conversation, but I can't find which time I talked to him. But damn, sucks for my DoorDash driver that they showed up as the rain started. Oh, I feel so bad. I'll up their tip. Rough.
Can I ask you a stupid question?
Yeah.
I'm a very old, shitty man, and I don't know what anything is. I've seen several times in the chat, especially on YouTube, ! =, and I don't know what that means. ! Some people were posting it. Yeah, I saw it like 50 times. It was a while ago, and I took a note of it because I didn't want to forget, but it was in a couple of calls ago, and some of them had other stuff associated with it, and sometimes it didn't. And I feel very dumb and very old.
Oh, it's not equal to. It's programming speak.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
I never heard of this before. We're going to do the super chats real quick, and then take another call.
This person just put it's exclamation point equal sign question mark question mark. And I think they're saying, is this the symbol? Yeah, not equal. Okay, cool. And that's in a programming language called C, which I don't speak because I'm a biologist. I'm a different kind of nerd. I don't know.
Real quick, so Valkyrie said it's always a man. True. Lime Snail
Valkyrie,
said,
please. Men are
appreciate
speaking.
you. Crazy. Appreciate you defending trans people. There's this book called Transgender Intersections that goes into detail on how perceived race can change after transitioning. Think you would enjoy. Thank you for kicking A. And then, Forrest, if you can read this, I'm going to go grab my lunch real quick.
$5 from Jamie the Blind Limey. Blind Limey here. First ran into Jovan on TikTok. Love seeing him with my favorite dudes. Oh, and Forrest, have you heard of anime horse girls? That's how Jamie the Blind Limey talks all the time. He always sounds like that. You can fact check me. Jamie, don't fucking come up in here with your fetishes and tell me about anime horse girls. I don't know what that is. But it is good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Jamie the Blind Limey is a genuinely fucking just awesome and just seriously genuinely nice guy. And everybody should go check him out on wherever he is. And that is exactly how he sounds. And tell me I'm wrong when you listen to him. My favorite part about living in America is how they call flippy dippy lighty whiteys light switches. It's so quaint and country. That's how he sounds all the time. That's what he is. I can't wait to see that guy again. I'm here by myself now. Jovan left and put me in charge of the stream. So it's the Forrest show now. It's Forrest and only Forrest. Today, we are going to talk about allopatric speciation. So if you watch my TikTok, which you should, it's terrible. Or if you go on my YouTube channel, which is way better, and watch my Light of Evolution series, you will see all sorts of really cool explanations about how evolution works in like a general perspective, an introductory level. And one thing that we talked about in the last program that I did on TikTok was disruptive selection. So there's patterns of natural selection that we can see. And so what we can do is we can draw a simple graph where we can have like variation of some sort of a trait here, and then we can have the number of individuals who are expressing that type of trait, and we can have a normal distribution of variation within that trait like this, blah, blah, and then we can have an event happen where selection pressure is acting on both extremes of this variation, but not so much on the average, and that causes a pattern of selection that we call disruptive selection. It causes one population to diverge into two. This can eventually lead to a speciation event. Well, one other thing that can do that in a similar way is when you just switch up the selection pressures dramatically. So there's actually different sets of selection pressures acting on either ends of these extremes. And that can happen really well during a case of what we call a vicariance. Vicariance is when you have, like, say you have a big population of whatever kind of animal, like a big tortoises living in this one area or whatever like that. And then you have some tectonic activity and a mountain range comes up between them. Or there's like this torrential downpour and a dam bursts and it causes a river to cut through this population. And now you have this population split into two, and they have different selection pressures on either side of this now geographic barrier. We call this a vicariance event. You can think of it like living vicariously through somebody, like you having a double life. So now you split this population, this life, into two groups. And in that case, you now have different selection pressures acting on these different populations. So they're going to evolve in different directions. And then you're going to have different species produced out of that, a speciation event. And so we call that allopatric speciation. Allopatric means different country, but it doesn't like literal. It just means different geography and different selection pressures, which can cause one species split into two species. And we see that a lot of times in the fossil record. It's really, really cool. And it's one of my favorite kinds of it's one of my favorite modalities of evolution. And we got to talk about it a little bit while Jovan went and got pizza. That son of a bitch. Hey, welcome back.
I don't know what we're talking about, but people are asking about horse, half man.
Yeah, we talked about fucking horses, and we talked about evolution, and we talked about British people, and we talked about centaurs, and we covered a lot. You were gone for a long time.
Not even 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, you left me alone for 5 minutes, and this is what happens.
Okay, fair enough, chat, fair enough.
We came to learn. We learned that that evolution is real, and we learned that British people are silly, and we learned that there's no cock like horse cock. And that was the things we learned the most from this stream. That's the lessons of the day. Welcome to biology class.
Okay. Well, we're gonna keep it moving. We're at call lines are open. I have pizza. Bro, this pizza place I order from, you get an extra large cheese pie for $16. That's such a steal.
Not a sponsor.
That's such a steal. And it's the best pizza I think I've had since moving to Florida. Not today. Today it's a little floppy. Usually it's way more crisp than this. I don't know what they did today. Today has got way too much flop.
Somebody in your YouTube chat, I wish all my trans women the fattest of asses and all my trans men the thickest of hogs. That's such a nice thing. This is so good. Oh man.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, is this the Jovan debate show?
Yes. You here to debate? I was muted.
Yes. Obviously, name, age, pronouns. I'm 0, 30, she, her.
Okay. And 0, what topic on the board did you want to debate about?
So I wanted to get a little more clarity on the all 9 months abortion stance. So, like, my main thing is, like, so you were talking about non-lethal abortion methods and specifically, like, induction abortions and things of that nature. So would you agree that, like, a lot of those methods, while they can be non-lethal, they have some potentially lethal components to them, depending on the situation?
Well, currently they're all used lethally right now. Induction and hysterectomy abortions are all lethal abortions currently.
Yeah, and that's kind of my concern with it, is that I would love if we had, like, kind of a magic pod we could basically move the baby to. Like, I think it's just a Facebook ad, so don't quote me on this, but, like, there's, like, something they were saying they were working on in China to do something like that. And, like, I think that would be fine, but personally, I'd say probably the 24 weeks is where I'd still draw the line currently.
Well, those methods don't need to be lethal, right? You can induce labor after 24 weeks and it not be lethal, and you can do a hysterectomy abortion, which essentially is, like we've said before, it's essentially a C-section without killing the fetus first. You just take it out.
I agree with you that artificial wombs would be tight as all hell, though.
Oh yeah, no, like that would be like the ideal situation. Is like we can just like literally just transplant. Like, okay, you don't have to deal with this. We'll put them up for adoption later, but like here they're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
You know,
just grow it in a sack, y'all. Yeah, no, that's because even if you want it, like pregnancy is not a benign condition, and I think that should be an option for everybody to not have to deal with that shit. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think my main stance on it is just that, like, if you're at 24 weeks, right, okay, like, you've missed, like, 6 periods. You know, I know some women, like, have irregular periods and whatnot and things like that, but you've got, like, a belly bump at, like, 4 or 5 months, right? So, like, at that point, can't we just agree that, like, so you kind of chose to be pregnant at this point? And I understand, like, the like lines of consent.
I'm sorry, there are cases, absolutely, of people who were pregnant and maintained a regular menstrual cycle, and then just literally one day, and they didn't have like big visible belly because they just had a tiny fucking baby growing in there. And there are cases of people just literally one day they're in the bathroom and like, fuck, there's a baby. Like it happens. So like in extreme cases where like, say you wake up one day and you like a magic situation where you learn you're fucking 8 months pregnant and you didn't know this whole time, like, will you then make an exception in this case?
But even separate from that, like people should be able to change their minds.
Well, yeah, but I'm curious to know with what Zero was saying. I'm curious to know if it is just guilt by knowledge and decision, or is it actually the timeline of the development of the fetus? Because those are different concepts, and right now I can't tell the difference.
I'd say it's definitely guilt by knowledge rather than guilt by decision to have sex. Like literally no one, like not everyone is out here, like we're not going on hookups like, oh yeah, I'm going to make a baby today. Like that's not really most people's goals with intercourse. You know what I mean? So I'm not even going to, like, you can't put that whole personal responsibility thing on it. But like, once you know you're pregnant, like, and even then I still give like a couple months leeway in most cases. Like, I mean, the 8 months example is actually a very good example. I'd say probably if you were in a situation where you didn't know for 8 months, at that point still, I feel like, well, even then, like, wouldn't an induction at that point still be like, I don't know, like that feels like the more moral choice because now we're saving potentially both lives.
Cryptic pregnancy, by the way, is why I couldn't remember the damn word and I looked up. Cryptic pregnancy, also known as stealth pregnancy, which sounds way fucking scarier, if I'm honest with you. That sounds awful.
I just want to point out, Zero, that like in my stance, I believe that as soon as a fetus is sentient, we should we should do what we can to keep it alive, unless there's some medical reason not to. So this would be around 24 weeks, which is around the same time as viability. So like at 24 weeks, take it out without killing it if you can. If you can't, then you can't. But I don't think we should be in the business of saying like people can't change their minds because that if we're saying that if you're pregnant and you hit a certain point, you can no longer change your mind to get rid of the pregnancy. Then what we're saying is pregnancy isn't a consensual act; it's a forced act.
1 out of 475 pregnancies go unnoticed until about 20 weeks. 1 in 2,500 pregnancies go unnoticed until delivery. How fucking... That's way too high of a number, y'all. That's scary as hell.
Wait. How many did you say go unnoticed until delivery?
1 in 2,500. 2,500.
That's...
How many people are born a day?
That's way more than I thought. Yeah, that's... Even extrapolating that,
just
I think
in U.S. I'm going to look just because of the world. You know, what's going on?
100
birth in the U.S.
pregnancies, births. Huh.
Data.
Actually, that's a really good point.
What the fuck is this? Is this for a year?
No,
I think
mean,
this is for a year.
That's per year. Okay. But
divided
still,
by
like, even then, like,
okay,
that's,
so
that's
if I'm looking at birth statistics.
Like,
I have from the CDC. And it says number of births is 3,596,017. I think that's for the year. That sounds low. We have like 33 million people in this country. But let's say that's what it is. That equates to, divided by 365, that's just under 10,000 a day. So, like, that's if all of those pregnancies, the 1 in whatever, but if it's happened in a day, which I know that's not how statistics work, but like I'm just saying, like that, can you imagine if like around 10% of the pregnancies in a day were a surprise? That's fucking nutty.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I'm not sure about this.
Okay.
The number.
You guys can't hear how loud this thunder is.
The 1 in 2,500.
It is insane. That's the
1 in 2,500 statistic, by the way, that comes from. The 1 in 2,500 comes from the Cleveland Clinic, by the way, if anyone's curious about that. I can't post that link in the chat because I'm not a mod here, but just it's neat.
We can make Forrest a mod.
Huh.
Wait, that's not what I'm supposed
honestly,
to type.
I think that kind of, I don't know, that kind of does solidify like me on the pro-choice side for that then, because like, honestly, like, we can't just have, like, 4 women a day. Like, I think you said it's, like, basically 10,000 a day. And then we have 1 in 2,500 don't even know they're pregnant till they deliver a baby. And then, so, like,
1 in 10 a day
can't just be...
Just to be clear, I appreciate that, but I just want to be clear. My 1 in 10 a day, that was an extrapolation of me misrepresenting statistics as a joke. So that's not an actual statistic. The 1 in 2,500 period as a frequency, 1 out of every 2,500, that as a statistic is real. To 1 in 10 a day, that was me fucking around. Don't take that seriously.
Yeah. I mean, like, obviously, I'm gonna look up these numbers later. Like, I'm just on the call, you know, just trying to clarify some like kind of talking points on here too, you know. So because that's the only thing today that I really have that I had any disagreements on. Like, I think as long as those abortion methods are kept lethal, I think I still kind of lean toward maybe we at least, like, there should be some sort of process, but I feel like that should be, I think Jovan said this before, is it should be up to the doctors, not the state. But
yes.
like,
So
yeah,
I think the key here, Zero, like, we can agree all day long about, or we can argue all day long when we should try to avoid abortion and like how many. I think the key crux of this is just like that the fundamental ability, the right to be able to do it, should be maintained, and then a pregnant person and their doctor can decide where that actual line is. Because it sounds like you're discussing like when it should happen and if it should, how it should happen and where, but we're not discussing if it should happen. It sounds like we all agree that abortion should be a protected right, right?
The only bad abortion is a forced abortion.
yeah. Yes, true.
For sure. Cool. Yeah. Well, then
All
we're
right.
all on the same
Yeah, I
page.
think we agree, so I'll
the
let you guys
semantics
move on.
and tiny moral. Yeah, I really appreciate this call, Zero. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you guys. I love this. Love both of your channels. Like, I've seen Forrest on the line a bunch, and I watch Jovan basically daily. So
you'll see me on the line a bunch now too.
To debate with you on, but yeah, I've seen you on the line there.
I'm there. I'm official now. I'll be over there.
Yep.
Wednesday, I'm on with Matt.
No, oh, nice. Oh, dude, you and Matt would be crazy good together. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll let you guys move on.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Take care.
YouTube, by the way, YouTube's nailed their giveaway goal. So we're gonna have to give away some merch to the YouTube chat. So W YouTube. Let's before we take the super chats, let's take another call and then we'll take the super chats after. But I want to try to get like 1 or 2 more calls in before stream is done. Also, chat, just FYI, when me and Forrest are done, I bought a heart rate monitor. So we're gonna be doing some horror games over on Twitch with the heart rate monitor. So
he's gonna strap that heart rate monitor on. I'm gonna come over to his place. We're gonna see how high we can get that thing.
That'd be a crazy stream. You go to bed, you just turn the heart rate monitor on, and you just leave just that. Okay, I don't understand. This call, the person's called before. Do you want to know the phone number? It's just a plus. It's just a plus symbol.
Oh,
I'm so confused.
Let's talk to Matt.
Hello, are you here to debate?
Hi. Yeah, I am. Hello. Hi. Sorry. I was meeting the stream.
Okay. What's your name, age, or pronouns?
My name is Nour, N-O-U-R. I'm 25 and pronouns are they, them.
Okay. And what topic did you want to call into debate about?
I actually want to talk about religion a little bit.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Nour, 25, they, them, calling in to talk about religion. Phenomenal. What, you go ahead. Tell us what about religion you want to talk about.
Or not, I guess.
And I can't call you back because your phone number is just a plus symbol. What happens if I call back a plus symbol? Hello?
Guys, we won. We beat religion today. It's over.
Nor call back. Maybe.
Oh man.
Hello?
Person in chat who's upset about pronouns, you call in. That'd be fun. We can talk about pronouns.
Oh, who is it? Say the name. Say the name.
Carl.
Say the name, bro.
Oh, Sean Prince M1J. Their profile is a dog. I want to talk to that dog.
He comments multiple times. He's obsessed. He's a fan. He comments multiple times on my videos, but refuses to call in. That's what. Thank you for the money. Thank you for the money, Sean. Every video view helps.
It sucks to be a bitch, Sean. Hey, but the cool thing, like, hey, is it plus?
No, it's
not. Is it
not.
plus, Nor?
It's not, unfortunately.
Motherfucking. All right, well, let's talk to this person then.
Hello, are you here to debate? Hello? Hello?
Jesse Jerdak
Hello?
in the chat. You beautiful man.
Okay. No way. What? Oh, why was it calling somebody? Okay. I thought somebody was calling back. There's some, because I'm using Google Voice, so you can change the names of people. And one of them is man who owes me $500. And I thought they were calling in again. And I was about to be like, where's my money?
Hell yeah.
Hello, are you here to debate? Hello?
Hello?
There are
Is
microwaves.
this the Colin Show?
Hello.
It is, yeah.
Hello, I'm Alexia. Sorry. I'm 34 years old. I'm a little nervous.
Okay, Alexia.
We have nothing to be nervous about.
30.
Jovan
Alexia.
is very nice, and I'm an idiot.
Well, Alexia, what's your pronouns?
It is she, her.
Okay, and what are you calling in to debate about?
I just wanted to call in and say thank you for your abortion debate commentary and enlightening a lot of people on the different forms, and also seeing mothers and young ladies and women in general do matter, because it seems like every call you guys been having, they forget about the mom who's giving birth on the table, or the young lady, or the girl, possibly. But thank you so much.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
It seems like they don't care
They usually don't.
about how
Not pro-lifers, anyway.
Yes, it seems like they don't care, and their responses is kind of callous, like you made this decision when you had sex or whatever have you, and that may not be always the case. And it's just refreshing to hear you guys say mothers and other, women, they do matter in this situation, not just the fetus. It is also the person carrying the fetus. They matter. And me, I've worked in labor and delivery, and I've had too many intercom calls of people coding out, either in C-sections or they just die from giving birth, because you can lose an immense amount of blood. So it just it's very refreshing. And again, I do commend y'all on talking about this, because mothers' lives matter a lot.
We agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in.
I'll hang up and let y'all get
Thank
back
you for what
to
you do, Alexia. You're an actual fucking hero working. Like it sounds like you're a doctor or a physician of some kind. So thank you for what you do. I'm stupid on the internet and spew biology facts. You save people's lives.
I sanitize a lot of the. I sanitize a lot of the operation rooms, and I have to wait. And when a mother is in there, like for C-section, cesarean, and they're in there more than 8, and then you hear we need the crash cart. It's just a little alarming, because the equipment they use, and then the mothers try a lot during live birth to get the baby through, but sometimes it's the stress, and if they hear that the heart monitor go down, it's a race against time, because I've already had that with back labor, having to have a C-section twice. When you hear your heart's also spiking because of the trauma, and then the baby's heart, and it's like a rush between, can we save them both, or is it just going to be the baby that dies for the mom? They don't know. So it's like, just hearing how callous some men can be.
Yeah.
Hello?
I think you're right. They're removed from it, and they don't care about it because they don't experience it and they don't have to deal with it. So I commend you and everyone like you and everyone who works with you for putting in the real work to keep people safe in the mire of stupidity that we live in. You're awesome, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, I just want them to experience back labor for once. It's like period cramps,
5
but
seconds.
worse. You're like staring into the void, and it's like your bones. It feels like your bones are cracking. That's when the baby's spine is on your spine, pressing down, and there's not much you can do if the baby doesn't flip. So, yeah, I want them to experience that, and then tell me that yes, it's no big deal. You put yourself in this position.
Well, it's
no.
it's the age-old adage, right? Like if men could get pregnant, abortions would be available on every corner.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it's really just between the patient, the doctor, the family. I wish they would really leave their religion out of it, because it really could hinder people who may need that care. Because I remember you had another caller who was saying that they vaguely could consider C-sections or cesareans as abortions, and I'm like, oh no, that's the only method I could have, because I tried natural birth and that didn't work out. So
I will say, to the life of me, as long as the risk of vaginuses exist, I'll always defend your right, your someone's right to get rid of a fetus. Vaginuses are terrifying.
Yeah, it's just there's so many complications. Not every pregnancy is the same, even with the same mother. The first pregnancy and the second pregnancy, they're not always the same. I'm sorry, my children.
Do you want? I can yell at them for you. You want me to yell at them for you? Put me on speaker.
Okay, well, I guess I gotta go do mommy duty. Okay, well, I'll just let y'all go. Thank you.
No problem.
For listening to me spiel.
Take care.
Have a good one.
Once again, you
Later.
guys are. Okay, well, I gotta go now. Bye.
All right, have a good one,
Bye.
Alexia. I'd have yelled at the kids
Alexia,
for her. I'd have
you
yelled
totally
at the kids
said
for
duty
her.
at the end there.
Absolutely would have yelled
I
at
would've
the
been
kids
all
for
over
her.
that. Shut up, you little brat!
Shut your damn mouth!
Your mom works hard enough. So good.
Nor tried to call in again, so hopefully they call in again once we open the lines.
Sick.
Because I would love to talk about religion today. I love telling. Well,
Yeah,
unless
I would love that.
Unless Nor doesn't want me to tell them why the Christian God is a sick, sadistic son of a bitch. But other than that,
I'd be there for that. I'd be all over that call.
it's my favorite.
It's right.
Oh, there they are.
Hey!
All right. I don't know what happened last time, Nor, but thank you for calling back.
I'm using this weird fucking service because I'm not in the U.S. I'm using this weird service, and the rates are insane, and it just like fucking blew up. I don't know why.
All right. What did you say your age was again?
25.
Okay, cool. And you did want to talk religion, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, no problem. What specifically about religion?
Actually, I want to talk about the current happenings in the religion discourse. Sorry, discourse, not discord. Sorry.
I don't know what's happening in the current religious discourse.
Well, okay, I'm getting to it. Sorry. So I'm an atheist. I have been an atheist for about 5 years, and I've been involved in the discourse for almost that long. And from what I've been seeing, it's that atheism, I don't feel like atheism offers anyone anything that religion can't offer without talking about the material conditions of people.
You don't see that atheism can offer anything that religion can offer without talking about the material conditions that people are
Yes.
Explain that a little bit to me.
Well, okay. Sorry, I'm blanking. I'm really nervous right now.
You're good. Nothing to be nervous about.
So, sorry, give me a sec.
No problem.
So let me ask you a follow-up. Like, what is it that atheism offers? Because as far as I'm concerned, atheism is a single answer to a single question. I don't believe in a God. And everything else beyond that can be variable. There's the different different philosophies, different ideologies, different worldviews. All sorts of different people are atheists. And so you lose that homogeneity that comes along with religion in terms of worldview. So I'm wondering, like, what you're putting in there to say, like, this is what atheism offers. What do you mean?
Okay, so from what I see in in atheist discourse, is that the main thing people want to talk about is theology. They want to like talk about theology, debunk what is happening in theology, or they want to talk about like the hierarchy of religion and how like there are a lot of people who are like priests, a lot of whatever, right? Like the people on top of religion are like can be really abusive, which are all fine things to talk about, but I feel like that leaves out so much that that religion can offer. Like, for example, like if we want to talk about something like healthcare, for example, right?
Okay.
We're listening.
Hello? Yeah, okay. If I talk about healthcare, for example, I grew up in a very religious, in a very religious family, in a very religious town. And we had kind of half socialized healthcare back then. It was you could like go private, but like for the most part, healthcare was free. So everyone was getting healthcare. There was no I mean, there was a little bit of science denial, but when it comes to healthcare, the sentiment was just listen to your doctor. Just listen to the doctor. Go to the doctor. That's the main thing that I was hearing people talk about, right? And then over the years, I grew up in Egypt during the Arab Spring. Over the years, after 2010, 2011, healthcare became a lot harder to get. And that's when I started to find that a lot of people started doubting doctors. A lot of people started like doubting medicine and all that stuff. And so if you want to talk about religion, if you want to talk about science, if you want to talk about any of these things, and you leave out the material conditions of people, that how people live their lives, how people can afford things, you're just talking about theology. You're just talking about ideology, and leaving out the real life situations that people are going through. It's just like you're just talking hypotheticals, basically, just like in simple terms.
I fear that I still don't understand the crux of the problem, because like, yes, I can speak purely like physically, purely physical terms about a person's physical being, their medicine, their all these things, and leave out any consideration of any metaphysical thing, and I get the exact same outcome as if I were to sit here and you know, whinge and wane and hem and haw about all these souls and spiritual needs and all this. So like, I don't it sounds like, I don't think this is what you're saying, but like it sounds like your conversation you're having with me right now is like, if you don't talk about religion, then you're not talking about religion. And I agree.
Okay. I understand that. This is not exactly what I meant. I meant in tandem. Like, if you don't talk about material conditions, in tandem with the theology, in tandem with the hierarchy of any religion, it's basically the only person that you're going to get to is just college-educated liberals, is what I mean. You're gonna reach people who are
trade-off there. The trade-off there is that I am engaging in discussion about things that I fundamentally don't think exist in order to appease somebody or like play into their idea, and I don't think you would expect me to do that with anything else.
What do you mean?
Again, I think I may be misunderstanding you, but it sounds like you're expecting me to discuss theology or entertain theology when talking about or engaging in like decidedly non-theological activity in order to appease or placate people who are religious into feeling more like intellectually satisfied. And I don't understand why you would have that expectation of me.
I think we're both arguing against the same thing. What I mean is, like, okay, so look at a priest, for example. What does a priest talk about? Okay, maybe I had a different experience with this. Let me just like give you an example from me growing up. During the Arab Spring, there was a lot of like financial turmoil. There was a lot of economical turmoil, and we had like Friday service. Every Friday, I go to mosque, and we'd hear the imam talk about just like give a sermon, basically, right? And what he'd usually talk about is just like, I heard this a lot, and it was just, people are suffering right now. It's hard right now. We got to trust in God, and we got to keep moving on. Right? And I don't feel like a lot of atheists are entertaining this, are talking about material conditions of people and how giving people an alternative, rather than just like,
why would we?
Talking about.
I'm so lost.
Why won't you?
Forrest doesn't seem to be lost. So you guys,
I don't understand.
I'm confused.
I forgive me. I'm standing and moving around because I've had about 5 hours of sleep in the past 5 days, and I'm just kind of moving around and stretching, trying to stay focused here. Because like what you're saying just doesn't make any sense to me. You're saying that you would go to mosque and the imam would say like, "Hey, they're suffering, but you have to trust in God." Meanwhile, if you tune into my content, I say, "Hey, they're suffering. You need to do something about it and maintain hope along the way." That's generally my message. And I don't say you need to trust in God because I don't think there is a God, and I think that belief in God is harmful. So why would I entertain that concept, and why would I spread the message as an atheist? You need to trust in God, rather than just spreading the message that I think is more practical and more helpful.
Not trust in God, sorry. I didn't mean like, oh, you should trust in God. No, that's totally not what I mean. I mean like giving people solutions, like demanding things from the government to do. I know you're.
I do that.
I know you're an educator. I know you demand that colleges be more affordable and more like accessible to people. But that's because you're an educator.
Thank you, Boo.
No, it's
right?
because I care about. I am an educator for the same reason that I think that that college should be affordable and all these things. I don't think the college should be affordable because I am an educator. I am an educator, and I think the colleges should be affordable because I think education is important for the growth of a healthy society, and especially science education, I think, improves the lives of individuals and the communities that they live in. And so, like, what do you want me to do? Like, what are you encouraging me to say here? Because for me, I would tell people, here's what you should know, here's what you should do about it, here's how to stay hopeful and happy, here's some philosophical ideas, and hey, I'm just some asshole, don't take my word for all this, figure it out for yourselves. That's generally like a good summary of any message I ever give. So what are you asking me to change? What do you think that I should be doing different?
I think I picked the wrong guest to talk to this about, because like a lot of my positions on this topic actually came from you. So I don't know.
What? You said it would take a long time to talk about?
No, they said they got a lot of their positions on this topic from you.
Oh, fuck. Okay, I misheard. All right. I don't understand what you're expecting of me here. No, I don't understand what you're trying to say to me.
I'm not necessarily expecting this from you. I'm expecting this from the wider atheist community, and I don't feel like a lot of atheists. Well, it only. This is only
Okay,
like a recent thing
what is it
because of
specifically?
COVID, because-
Like, give me a soundbite. What specifically are you expecting the wider atheist community to change? What the wider atheist community should blank? 10 words or less.
10 words or less. Oh God.
Not literally. I'm just saying, like, condense this for me. Make it stupid for me. The wider atheist community should, and here's 30 seconds or less for you to explain. The wider atheist community should what?
The wider atheist community should talk more about economical condition in tandem with theology, like debunking theology.
Okay. Why would they do that?
Because that's exactly what their religious right is abusing, while continuously like perpetuating the suffering that people have. While telling them, oh,
Okay.
you want to, if you want your financial condition to get better, you should donate to me and God will make it better. That's the whole point
How
of like a
should
metaphor.
should atheists incorporate discussing economics and debunking religion? How should those two be incorporated?
Okay, that's very simple. Look at someone like
a hush puppy?
Someone like Mitch McConnell.
Where did you get a hush puppy?
It's cornbread.
Oh fuck! All right.
Oh my God, I'm hungry.
You just
now.
have
Did you say
cornbread
Mitch
laying around.
McConnell?
Sorry?
Did I hear that right? Did you say Mitch McConnell? Who did you say?
Yeah. I did say Mitch McConnell.
Like Republican politician Mitch McConnell, or is it somebody else?
Yeah, Republican politician Mitch McConnell.
What about him?
Hold on. Let me.
The question here was how should atheists incorporate discussions of economics with discussions of debunking religion? And you got to Mitch McConnell, and I don't know what we're doing.
So Mitch McConnell is one of the worst monsters in politics. I feel like all three of us can agree on this.
Sure.
Right?
Capitalist turkeyman.
So you tell people, look at Mitch McConnell. Look at what he's doing. Look at how much he's putting you down with all the shit that he's doing, with all that filibustering that he's doing, right? He's the one that is holding your economic. He's the one that is like ruining your, like ruining your lives in favor of like the corporations, for example, for the religious right, all that stuff. You talk about voucher schools.
Right. Mitch McConnell sucks, and Republicans at large suck, and we can all agree on that. And I can understand how I can say, hey, economics are important and equality is important and here's ways we improve school. And I can say that to a religious person or an atheist and have more or less the exact same conversation. And I don't understand why you are insisting or suggesting that they should be incorporated necessarily.
I don't know why. I don't know how. Okay, I don't know how what I'm saying doesn't make sense.
I'm legitimately having a hard time following it because it sounds like you're kind of going off on several different tangents where you're saying like, hey, here's all these ways that Mitch McConnell is ruining the country. I agree entirely.
No, I mean,
Why
that's just
is
like
that
an
now a
example of it.
necessary part of atheist messaging? Excuse me, I got to step away for just a second.
Yeah, you've left us a little confused, Nor. I'm not gonna lie.
I've been talking to I've been like, this is something I've been passionate about for like the past month or so, and I've not thought about much else, so maybe that's why it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't mind if you want to take some time to flesh this out and then call back.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Okay.
There's been kind of a waste of like 18 minutes. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're fine. We're not following, so it could be an issue with us, right? Not understanding. But if you're just saying like atheists should also advocate for other things, I'm just like, I know I do that already. Forrest does that already, so that's why I'm just a little confused.
You do that already.
Okay.
Jovan, you already do this.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I want more atheists to do this as well, and I feel like this conversation is lacking.
Sure, that would be a call though to have with those. Like I don't know those other atheists, so I can't really speak for what they do or why they do. You know.
Fair enough. Honestly, this was kind of impulsive. There were like 5 things I wanted to talk about, and I just picked this one.
No, it's totally fine.
I'll think about this more and like try to actually have like bullet points written down and like, more fleshed out arguments, and just call back at another time. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Right. No problem.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Ooh. Goodbye, Nor. Sorry. Sometimes I don't know if somebody is fully off the call or not, so my apologies. All right. We are coming to the end of debates. I think we'll shoot for like one more, preferably. Would love to get like one more actual debater in. I feel like most of today hasn't been like debaters, you know, except for like that first call. But I would love for somebody to call in who's like gung ho. That's what we would really like to get. Do we think those people exist, chat? I don't know. I think most of the people who chirp in the comments, they're too afraid to get their like positions actually tested. Yeah, if it's another abortion debate, I'm probably going to be like, no. No, thanks. Call-in line is open. Let's see who's not scared. And then we'll move to, we'll do our giveaway over on YouTube, and then we'll move to Twitch to game. I'm down with that. Hello, are you here to debate?
Oh, snap, I got on. Hello, my name is, there's an alias. My name is Trey. I am kind of here to debate. I'm mostly here to ask you a question. Huge fan of also Forrest, but he's currently AFK.
All right, Trey, well, what's your age and pronouns?
He, him, and I'm 29.
Okay. And what topic did you want to talk about?
I sort of have 2 mainly questions for you.
Okay.
The first one is sort of about Christianity and leftism, but in a unique sort of manner. Obviously, there's issues with the church and all that, and Christianity is a religion. But what is your position on, like, their role as, like, because especially when it comes to online progressivism and all that, there's a lot of chirping about helping people and all that. But for a lot of communities, it is the church. They're the only ones actually doing grounded mutual aid, actually helping people. And even though religion sucks, I was curious about your perspective on that. Like, you know, as they're the only ones operating a lot of the food banks and the clothing drives, and what your thoughts on that were, considering the organization behind them is sort of corrupt.
Yeah, I don't really mind that churches, like, I don't have an issue with churches doing mutual aid in that way, but now this can only be anecdotal, but I know a lot of the churches that I've seen do it, they attach some level of preaching onto it. I think what we need to more focus on is having mutual aid done by the communities. Like, I think community mutual aid, like, I think towns, like, for instance, if you live in a town, I don't think it should be, well, you got to go to this church to get it to the food bank. I think towns need to have their own food banks. Cities should have their own food banks. They should have their own, I think it should be done on a town level, not a church level. But yeah, I don't, the good that churches do in terms of this, to me, doesn't outweigh the harm that, like, Christianity has done globally.
I can agree with that on a more, like, grand scale. I think, and this is my own personal anecdote as someone who has done, like, organizing and food drives. There's a lot of people who talk a big game about, oh, leftism, oh, religion hurt me and all this. And then it's like, okay, let's go out and let's, like, feed some homeless people. Like, I agree with, like, maybe a core thing. Like, it'd be great if we lived in a world where, like, we could do a public housing program, where we could have, like, a bread program, but I haven't, you know, for the most part.
Something else you also have to know is, something else you have to remember is a lot of states and cities will legislate against other groups. So the reason why churches are able to do food banks and give meals and whatnot is because they have dedicated space to do so. For example, in Florida, there's Food Not Bombs is an organization that used to give away meals in the Florida parks. They would cook meals. They would give food to the homeless. Then Orlando and Florida as a whole put in a rule that only 2 groups a year could give away food on 2 individual days. Just 2 days you can give food in a public park. And if somebody's already claimed that day, you can't come in and claim that. So they've literally put barriers on people that are trying to do the mutual aid. And that happens all over the country.
I agree, especially in Texas. I used to volunteer with Food Not Bombs, so I know exactly the sort of thing that you're discussing. That's exactly sort of why I'm frustrated, though. In an ideal world, we'd be able to do it independently, but I feel like there's this huge disconnect. And this could just be my own philosophy sort of blinding me. My own goal is they're hungry people. I want to feed them. In an ideal world, I'd be able to do it more secularly. I'd be able to do it on my own. But there's a lot of people just like, oh, get rid of the church and do this. And I'm like, but you haven't proposed a replacement. Like, let's say in an ideal world, we get rid of the tax exempt for churches, which I would love. All right, how are we going to run all the food banks and clothing drives that these people operate at a loss? You know, like, how are we going to keep the lights on in these places? And I wish we would live in a world where we could have more discussions based on that, as opposed to this abstract sort of discussion about, like, oh, well, churches are bad and blah, blah, blah. And don't get me wrong, I agree with all that. I'm just saying, like, in a more, like, when I'm actually trying to, like, feed people and put food in people's mouths, there's a lot of people who like to bluster. And maybe it's just a disconnect with the people I see online versus the people I see in real life. But it's like the Christian boomers who are actually out here with me, like, cooking and, like, giving food to the people. All the young people.
I think it's just not, like, because there are tons of groups that are doing it. It's just finding the ones that are doing it that have the presence, basically, I guess.
Yeah. Also, my second point is, and Forrest isn't here for this. I just wanted to bring up a thing that I'm sure you know this because you debate for a living, but especially when it comes to immigration, Republicans do this a lot. There's like a Martin Bailey that goes on where I've noticed, and I think it should be pointed out more, that whenever they complain about immigration, it's 100% complaining about state capacity. Like 99% of the time. I've never seen a complaint about immigration that isn't secretly about state capacity. If you look, they'll be like, well, the stores are full, or, I went to the DMV and there were long lines, and I'm like, this has nothing to do with immigration, and I think it's just something that you should, that should be pointed out more than 99% of the time. The complaints about immigration and not about that.
All right. Cool.
That's all I really want to say. Also, huge fan. I love it when you 360 windmill dunk on the pronoun crash outs. Keep doing what you're doing.
I plan to. Thank you for calling in.
All right. Peace.
Thank you, Boo.
All right. I changed my mind on gaming today. My head is starting to get rough, so I'm probably gonna call it once Forrest gets back and we guys, you know that the Sean person's not gonna call. I don't know why. Are we not at a place where we can tell when people are just comment warriors? Right? Like, I stand on fucking business with the shit I say. Sean doesn't. Like, let him. If Sean is afraid, let Sean be. We don't kink shame here. If he's afraid, if he's a submissive person, let him be. It's okay. I'm not afraid to back my shit. I already saw him making a fucking illogical argument. Like, it's easy. He did those women must have uterus bullshits, which we all know. It's not the case. And then we're going to say, well, what's the necessary condition? And he's going to say uterus. And I'm going to say, what about someone born with vaginal agenesis? And he's going to say, well, they're the exception. And then I'm going to mention the fact that necessary conditions can have 0 exceptions. Then we're going to go on for 10 minutes because he doesn't know what a necessary condition is. It's just kind of, it's the same tale as old as time, guys. Tale as old as time. Probably not old enough to call in. Probably. True as it can be. I hope Forrest is okay. I can't tell if his thing is frozen or there's just no movement in his room to know. I need a fat fucking nap after this stream. You guys forget that I know the transphobe argument so well that it's like running a fucking, it's just like one of those things called like a flow chart. You can just run a flow chart of how trans people are going to have the argument.
Sorry, I had to step away for a second. I heard my wife screaming in the next room. She was calling to me, and there was a minor emergency I had to go take care of. Everything's fine. Nobody's dead.
Okay.
Nobody's broken. In no way is anybody bleeding out right now. It's fine.
Okay, that's good. We like to know that things are okay. Ella, are you here to debate?
Not really. Wait, I need to turn off the stream really quickly. So yeah, I'm not really here to like debate. It's a little funny thing that I saw yesterday that I want to just quickly talk about. It's about the trans thing.
Okay, can I just get your name, age, and pronouns?
Yes, it's Eli, E-L-I, 22, and she, her.
Okay, Eli, and what did you see that was funny?
So basically, it was about like banning trans people from sports and that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and also banning